Imagine suspended weightlessness, far beyond the thin blue line of our atmosphere, where the noise of the waking world fades into a profound and absolute silence. Before you stretches an endless canvas of velvet dark, painted with the soft glowing breath of ancient stars. Ribbons of stardust spun in hues of deep violet, crushed sapphire and shimmering rose gold drift effortlessly through the vastness. There is no rushing here. There are no deadlines, no urgent demands, no ticking clocks to measure the quiet passage of eons. In this infinite space, everything moves at the slow, deliberate pace of the cosmos. Galaxies slowly pirouette in the dark, and nebulas bloom like slow-motion flowers over millions of years. It is a place of ultimate stillness, a gentle void that holds the answers to mysteries older than the Earth itself. As you drift alongside these celestial wonders, you can simply watch. You can simply breathe. You're entirely safe, cradled in the immense, quiet architecture of the universe. As we journey through these cosmic mysteries tonight, I invite you to let go of any effort. You do not need to try to remember anything you hear. You do not need to build a catalogue of facts or hold on to the details. Let your mind soften, like a muscle finally releasing its tension at the end of a long day. Allow these ideas, these quiet truths about our universe, to wash over you like gentle waves on a dark, calm shore. Let them drift through your awareness. What stays, stays, and what fades, fades into pleasant dreams. Your only task is to rest, to let the boundaries of your thoughts expand outward into the comfortable dark. Let the sheer scale of the universe bring a deep sense of peace, knowing that in the grand tapestry of space and time, the present moment is a quiet sanctuary just for you. Deep within the constellation of Centaurus, far from the warming rays of any bright star, exists a pocket of space so perfectly still and cool that it holds the title of the coldest known place in the natural universe. It is called the Boomerang Nebula, an expanding cloud of gas shimmering with an ethereal icy blue light. The temperature here rests at a mere 1 degree Kelvin, a fraction above absolute zero, where the very movement of atoms slows to a nearly imperceptible gentle hum. This is a place of profound preservation, a cosmic deep freeze where the chaotic energy of the universe has been hushed into a permanent peaceful slumber. The gas expands outward at incredible speeds, yet from our distant vantage point, it appears frozen in time, a majestic glowing phantom in the shape of a delicate hourglass. It reminds us that even amid the fiery chaos of blazing stars and churning galaxies, the universe creates pockets of ultimate tranquility, spaces where the temperature drops, the noise ceases, and a perfect crystalline quiet prevails. This sense of deep, expansive quiet extends even to the very edges of our own celestial neighbourhood, where the familiar warmth of our sun becomes nothing more than a particularly bright star in a sea of darkness. Here, wrapping the solar system in a massive invisible sphere, lies the Oort cloud. It is a protective shell made of trillions of icy bodies, ancient comets, and frozen fragments left over from the very dawn of our solar system's creation. They drift in a slow, silent orbit, separated from one another by millions of miles of empty, dark space. These lonely voyagers of ice and dust have been circling out there in the dark for over 4.5 billion years, holding the pristine secrets of our cosmic origins deep within their frozen cores. There is a strange comfort in knowing that long before life arose on our blue planet, and long after our daily worries fade, this silent halo of ancient ice continues its slow, majestic dance, a quiet guardian watching over our solar system from the farthest reaches of the dark. Beyond that icy frontier, out in the uncharted spaces between the stars, drift some of the most mysterious and solitary wanderers of the cosmos. These are the rogue planets, orphan worlds that have broken free from the gravitational pull of their parent stars to travel alone through the galactic wilderness. Shrouded in perpetual night, without a sun to light their skies or warm their surfaces, you might imagine them as completely dormant and frozen. Yet, beneath their dark, quiet exteriors, many of these wandering worlds harbour their own deep, internal warmth. They carry the residual heat of their violent formation, glowing faintly in the infrared spectrum like dying embers in a midnight hearth. Some may even have thick atmospheres or oceans of liquid water hidden beneath miles of ice, warmed entirely from within. They wander the endless dark with a quiet autonomy, unbound by orbits, charting their own unique paths through the Milky Way. They are a testament to self-sufficiency, reminding us that even in the deepest, most isolated darkness, an inner warmth can persist, carrying its own quiet potential through the void. This deep darkness of interstellar space, however, is not entirely empty, nor is it completely dark. If our eyes could tune into the subtle frequencies of microwave radiation, the entire night sky would glow with a soft, uniform light, a gentle, omnipresent blanket of warmth left over from the very birth of the universe. This is the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light in existence, the fading afterglow of the Big Bang itself. Over billions of years, as the universe stretched and expanded, this primordial light stretched with it, cooling and mellowing from a blinding flash into a quiet, low-energy hum. It is a light that has travelled for nearly 14 billion years just to reach us, filling every inch of space, passing through our bodies, gently bathing the Earth in the oldest memory of creation. It is the universe's most ancient whisper, a soft, foundational frequency that binds everything together. Knowing that this gentle glow surrounds us at all times offers a profound sense of connection, a realization that we are always immersed in the very fabric of cosmic history. While space itself holds the faint echoes of light, the planets within it harbour phenomena that border on the fantastical, transforming the ordinary into the magnificent under the pressure of alien atmospheres. Far out in the dim, twilight regions of our own solar system, on the giant ice worlds of Uranus and Neptune, the weather creates something truly wondrous. Deep beneath their thick, swirling clouds of blue and green, immense atmospheric pressures and searing temperatures act upon the abundant methane gas. The carbon atoms are squeezed together so tightly that they bond into crystalline structures, forming actual diamonds. These glittering precious stones become heavier than the surrounding material, slowly precipitating downward. A gentle, continuous rain of diamonds falls softly through the dense, dark, fluid mantles of these planets, sinking for thousands of miles toward the planetary core. It is a silent, beautiful downpour of precious gems occurring right now in the quiet darkness of our outer solar system, a reminder that the universe is capable of hidden beauties and quiet alchemy far beyond our ordinary understanding of nature. Our understanding shifts again when we realize that our entire solar system, with all its planets, moons, and falling diamonds, is floating through a remarkably peaceful pocket of the Milky Way galaxy. We are currently drifting through an area known as the local bubble. This is a massive cavity in the interstellar medium, a region of space where the gas and dust are unusually thin and sparse. Millions of years ago, a cluster of ancient, massive stars reached the ends of their lives and exploded in a series of powerful supernovas, sweeping the surrounding space clear of dense debris and creating a quiet, low-density void. Our Sun, carrying the Earth and all its inhabitants, wandered into this quiet bubble a few million years ago. We are essentially sailing through a serene cosmic clearing, a tranquil harbour within the rotating disk of our galaxy. The turbulent winds of stellar birth and death rage outside this bubble, but within it, we are afforded a clear, calm view of the distant stars, gently protected within a quiet, empty space carved out by the ghosts of long-gone suns. In this protective harbour, life flourishes, and the universe has shown that the persistence of life is as remarkable as the stars themselves. The mysteries of the cosmos are not limited to massive celestial bodies. They also encompass the microscopic wonders that bridge the gap between biology and the extreme environment of space. Consider the tardigrade, a microscopic creature so resilient that it challenges our very definition of what it means to be fragile. When faced with the harsh, freezing vacuum of space, devoid of oxygen and blasted with cosmic radiation, the tardigrade does not perish. Instead, it enters a state of deep, quiet, suspended animation called cryptobiosis. It pulls its limbs inward, releases almost all the water from its body, and effectively pauses its own biological clock. Its metabolism drops to a fraction of a percent of normal. In this state, it can float through the deadly silence of space for years, perfectly preserved, waiting patiently. When returned to a welcoming, watery environment, it simply rehydrates and continues its life as if no time has passed. It is the ultimate lesson in quiet endurance, showing us that sometimes the best response to overwhelming conditions is to simply pause, to become perfectly still, and to wait out the dark until the conditions are right to bloom once again. While microscopic life can pause time through stillness, the larger structures in the universe are engaged in a slow, relentless migration driven by forces we can only barely perceive. Our Milky Way galaxy, along with tens of thousands of neighbouring galaxies, is currently flowing through space at millions of miles per hour, drawn by a massive unseen gravitational anomaly known as the Great Attractor. It is located hundreds of millions of light years away, hidden from our direct view by the dense dust and stars of our own galactic centre. We do not know exactly what it looks like, but its gravitational pull is undeniably steering the destiny of our entire galactic neighbourhood. Imagine a vast, slow-moving river of light, made of billions of stars and countless worlds, all gently cascading toward a mysterious destination in the deep unknown. There is no turbulence in this movement, no sudden shifts, only a steady, majestic drift across the eons. It gives a sense of ultimate surrender, realizing that even our massive galaxy is just a single leaf floating on a grand cosmic current, moving peacefully toward an unknown horizon. As we drift along these cosmic currents, even the nature of time itself begins to soften, revealing itself not as a strict ticking clock, but as a flexible, flowing fabric. In the profound depths of space, time bends and warps in the presence of massive gravitational fields, a phenomenon known as time dilation. If you were to rest near the edge of a remarkably dense object, time would pass much slower for you than for someone floating in the empty spaces between the stars. A single, quiet hour in the deep gravity of a massive world could equal years passing in the distant void. Time is not a rigid cage. It stretches, it slows, it lingers in the places where gravity pulls the hardest. This realization frees us from the anxiety of the ticking second hand. In the grand view of the cosmos, time is deeply personal, flowing at different rhythms in different corners of the universe. It allows us to imagine places where a fleeting moment of peace could be stretched into an eternity, where the rush of the waking world is slowed down to an absolute standstill. Where time slows, space can also hold onto the deepest, most resonant frequencies imaginable, translating the movements of the cosmos into a slow, inaudible music. In the heart of the Perseus galaxy cluster, surrounded by an immense cloud of superheated gas, lies a supermassive black hole. The gentle pressure waves rippling out from this singularity push against the surrounding gas, creating actual sound waves. These are not sounds that human ears could ever naturally detect. They're incredibly deep, ringing out 57 octaves below middle C on a piano. It is a drone so low, so profound, that a single oscillation of the sound wave takes millions of years to complete. The black hole is effectively humming, singing a slow, eternal note that resonates through hundreds of thousands of light years of space. It is a cosmic lullaby, a vibration of pure, massive energy that has been echoing through the dark since the dawn of the universe. This deep, slow song of the void serves as a quiet reminder that even the most mysterious and powerful objects in existence are ultimately part of a vast, harmonious symphony, ringing out in the velvet dark as you drift further into peaceful, restorative rest. As the profound, low-frequency hum of that distant black hole fades into the quiet background of your awareness, we find that the invisible gases of space carry more than just ancient cosmic sound waves. If we journey toward the dense, glowing heart of our own Milky Way galaxy, we enter a massive, softly swirling molecular cloud known as Sagittarius B2. This cloud is unimaginably vast, a sprawling tapestry of stardust and gas floating in the deep cold, but it holds a secret that feels surprisingly warm and deeply familiar. Astronomers studying the chemical signature of this giant cosmic nebula discovered a high concentration of an organic molecule called ethyl formate. Here on Earth, this specific molecule is responsible for giving raspberries their sweet, vibrant flavour, and it provides the rich, deep aroma of aged rum. It is a whimsical, delightful truth that right in the centre of our majestic galaxy, surrounded by billions of ancient, fiery stars, floats an expanse of stardust that carries the memory of sweet fruit and warm spirits. It reminds us that the universe is not entirely foreign or detached from our earthly experiences. The very chemistry that brings us comfort and joy is drifting quietly out there in the dark, weaving through the cosmos in a slow, sweet waltz. From these dust clouds carrying the scent of sweet fruit, we can drift further out into the deep past, where we encounter clouds of pure, life-giving essence. Nearly 12 billion light-years away, surrounding a brilliantly glowing quasar, floats the largest and oldest reservoir of water ever discovered. It does not exist as an ocean of liquid or a sphere of ice, but as an impossibly vast ethereal mist of water vapour enveloping a supermassive black hole. This ancient cosmic cloud contains over 140 trillion times all the water in Earth's oceans combined. It is an ocean without shores, a gentle atmospheric sea suspended in the dawn of time. Floating through this ancient mist, you might imagine the soft, cooling embrace of a quiet fog on a tranquil morning, stretched across thousands of light years. There is an incredible comfort in knowing that water, the very cradle of all life, has been present in staggering abundance since the universe was young. It bathes the ancient dark in a soft, cooling mist, an eternal wellspring sitting silently at the edge of the known universe. Yet for all this astonishing abundance of matter and mist, the universe balances itself with regions of profound, breathtaking emptiness. As your breathing deepens and your shoulders relax into the surface beneath you, allow your mind to journey toward the Bhuta's void. This is a remarkably quiet, spherical region of space so expansive it stretches nearly 330 million light-years across. It is an anomaly of nothingness. While the rest of the universe is densely packed with glowing galaxies and sprawling nebulas, the Bhuta's void is almost entirely empty. It is a cosmic sanctuary, a quiet room in the grand mansion of the universe. If our own Milky Way were placed dead in the centre of the Bhuta's void, the night sky would be entirely black, and we would not have even known other galaxies existed until the mid-20th century. As you listen to these words, you can allow your own mind to find its internal void, a spacious, quiet clearing where thoughts do not need to crowd you, where you can simply exist in the peaceful dark. There is no pressure in this empty space, no demands, only the deep, restorative luxury of perfect stillness. When matter does coalesce out of the emptiness, it can be sculpted by gravity into shapes of unimaginable perfection. Consider the neutron star, born from the collapsed core of an ancient giant sun. When these massive stars end their lives, their cores are crushed inward by a gravitational pull so absolute and so commanding that the resulting object is only a few miles across, yet contains the mass of entire solar systems. Under this extreme pressure, the surface of a neutron star is ironed out into a flawless, perfectly smooth crust. In fact, the gravitational pull is so intense that the highest mountains on a neutron star surface are less than a millimetre tall. It is an object of absolute striking symmetry, a perfectly polished sphere of unimaginable density resting calmly in the dark. It is deeply soothing to visualize this flawless pearl of matter, knowing that even the most chaotic, explosive forces in the universe ultimately resolve into a state of perfect balance, absolute smoothness, and quiet, heavy perfection. Nothing needs to be held too tightly. The universe knows how to bring everything into a stable, lasting rest. As these perfectly smooth neutron stars spin through the quiet dark, they reveal another of the universe's comforting constants, an unwavering perfect rhythm. Many of these dense spheres become pulsars, emitting sweeping beams of electromagnetic radiation from their magnetic poles. As they rotate, these beams sweep across the cosmos like the light from a solitary, majestic lighthouse standing on the shore of a dark cosmic ocean. The rotation of these pulsars is incredibly precise, ticking with a steady rhythmic perfection that rivals the most advanced atomic clocks on Earth. They are the heartbeat of the cosmos. As you rest, you can almost feel this steady, reliable pulse, a rhythmic, reassuring sweep of light that has not faltered for millions of years. It never rushes, it never falls behind, it just spins, a constant, comforting metronome in the void. You can let your own heartbeat align with this ancient, reliable rhythm. The body grows heavier, the breath settles, sinking effortlessly into the perfect timing of the stars. This sweeping lighthouse beam of the pulsar eventually illuminates the hidden silhouettes and shadows of more distant, elaborate worlds, revealing breathtaking optical masterpieces. Far beyond our solar system lies an exoplanet that astronomers lovingly refer to as a super Saturn. This distant, massive world is surrounded by a ring system that is 200 times larger and infinitely more complex than the rings of our own familiar Saturn. If this giant planet were placed in our sky, its sprawling rings would dominate the night, appearing larger and brighter than a full moon. Imagine the intricate dance of shadow and light as this massive, delicate disk of ancient dust and crushed ice slowly eclipses its host star. It creates concentric circles of silver and charcoal, a sprawling geometric mandala hanging weightless in the void. The universe paints with shadow and dust, creating visual spectacles of staggering proportion that simply exist, demanding nothing, moving in a slow, elegant and perfectly calculated ballet of celestial mechanics. Looking closer to home, we find that these beautiful interplays of shadow and light also reflect off surfaces of absolute unearthly stillness. In the dim, quiet reaches of our own solar system, Saturn's largest moon, Titan, is entirely shrouded in a thick golden-orange atmospheric haze. Beneath this gentle amber blanket lies a landscape that mimics Earth, but with a mesmerizing chemical twist. Titan is home to vast lakes and seas, but they are not filled with water, they are filled with liquid methane. Because the atmosphere is incredibly dense and the moon's gravity is wonderfully soft and weak, the surface of these alien lakes is unimaginably smooth. There are no crashing waves here, no turbulent winds whipping the shores. The liquid rests like a flawless sheet of dark glass, a perfect, unblemished mirror reflecting the soft golden light of the hazy sky above. It is a scene of ultimate tranquility, a quiet, glassy landscape untouched by the frantic pace of the waking world. It invites the mind to become just as still, to smooth out the ripples of the day and reflect only the quiet peace of the present moment. While Titan's surface remains perfectly still, the atmospheres of other giant worlds dance with silent, perpetual energy. At the north and south poles of Jupiter, the largest planet in our cosmic neighbourhood, the night skies continuously set ablaze with colossal auroras. These glowing ribbons of light are hundreds of times more energetic than the northern lights we see on Earth, and they span an area larger than our entire planet. They shimmer in hues of deep electric blue, vivid violet and soft ultraviolet, shifting and folding in the upper atmosphere. Yet despite their massive scale and brilliant intensity, they are completely silent. It is a perpetual quiet light show in the deep vacuum of space. There is no thunder, no roar of wind, only the gentle magnetic breathing of a giant world. Your mind is free to simply watch these imaginary colours fold and unfold in the darkness behind your eyes, requiring nothing from you, holding no demands, just an endless silent cascade of beautiful shifting light. Zooming far out from the silent glowing poles of a single planet, we can witness the light of all galaxies combined, revealing the grandest and most comforting architecture of all. The universe is not a random scattering of isolated stars. It is organised into a magnificent interconnected structure known as the cosmic web. Across billions of light years, galaxies cling to invisible threads of dark matter, forming colossal filaments that stretch across the great voids. From a distance, this structure looks incredibly organic, like the delicate branching roots of a massive cosmic tree, or like glowing morning dew strung along the intricate threads of a vast spider's web. Knowing this brings a profound sense of peace. We're all deeply connected. The universe is not a collection of lonely islands, but a beautifully woven tapestry where every star, every silent planet, and every distant nebula is linked by an invisible, underlying architecture. We are part of a grand, deliberate design, held gently in the cosmic fabric. If we trace these glowing filaments back down, following the threads to the places where the light is brightest, we find the warm, sheltering spaces where that light is born. Deep within massive clouds of interstellar dust, like the famous pillars of creation in the Eagle Nebula, lie the quiet stellar nurseries of the cosmos. These are towering, majestic monuments of gas that stretch for trillions of miles, casting long, beautiful shadows against the bright backdrop of glowing plasma. Inside the darkest, thickest parts of these sheltering columns, gravity is doing its slow, patient work. It gently pulls the dust together, gathering warmth and mass over millions of years until softly and quietly a new star sparks into life. It is a place of profound warmth and gentle genesis. It teaches us that even the oldest, darkest clouds are places of quiet renewal. The universe is constantly, softly renewing itself, turning ancient dust into bright new beginnings. And as we leave the warm glow of the nebula, drifting further out into the vast protective dark, the journey continues to unfold, revealing even deeper layers of quiet wonder waiting just ahead in the starlight. As we drift further into the vast protective dark, leaving the warm glowing nurseries of newborn stars behind, the starlight itself becomes a profound mystery of time and distance. When we rest our heads at night and look up through the thin veil of our atmosphere into the sprawling canopy of the cosmos, we are not actually seeing the universe as it exists in this exact moment. Instead, we are looking deep into an ancient, quiet past. Light, though it travels at unimaginable, blistering speeds, still takes time to cross the immense, sprawling oceans of empty space that separate the celestial bodies. The gentle, rhythmic twinkle of a distant star shining through your window might be light that left its fiery, churning surface hundreds, thousands, or even millions of years ago. Some of the magnificent stars that paint our familiar constellations, those reliable, luminous guides that have watched over humanity's oceans and forests for millennia, may have quietly extinguished their fires ages ago. Yet, their beautiful, final echoes of light are still travelling tirelessly toward us through the vacuum. It is a deeply comforting thought, realising that the night sky is essentially a living, glowing museum of light, a grand and silent theatre where the past is always beautifully present. It reveals that nothing truly vanishes instantly. Brilliance and beauty leave a lasting, luminous signature that travels across the eons, arriving perfectly on time to illuminate the dark long after the source has found its ultimate rest. While this ancient light gently touches our resting eyes, there are other, far more elusive messengers travelling alongside it, passing quietly through the very fabric of our world without making a single sound. These are neutrinos, often referred to by physicists as the ghost particles of the cosmos. As you lie here, safe, warm, and perfectly still, trillions of these infinitesimal fragments of energy are streaming outward from the blazing, pressurized core of our sun. They drift across the freezing expanse of the solar system and pass effortlessly through the Earth, the walls of your room, and your own resting body. Because they carry absolutely no electrical charge and have almost no mass, they rarely interact with solid matter. To a wandering neutrino, the dense, rocky core of the Earth is as transparent and permeable as a clear pane of glass. They are the silent, untouchable wanderers of the universe, moving at nearly the speed of light, carrying the whispered subatomic secrets of distant stellar furnaces. It is deeply peaceful to visualize this continuous, gentle rain of invisible energy passing through us in absolute, unbroken silence. It intimately connects our resting bodies to the fiery hearts of the stars, yet it requires nothing of us, asking for no reaction, simply drifting through the vast, empty spaces between our atoms on its endless, quiet journey through the void. As this invisible, ghostly rain softly falls, the mind can simply drift, letting go of the need to see, hold, or analyze every intricate detail. You can simply allow the colors of the cosmos to blur and blend into a single, soothing wash of light behind your heavy, resting eyelids. If we were to take all the visible light from every burning star, every glowing nebula, and every brilliant spiraling galaxy in the known universe, and mix it together as a master painter might blend pigments on a grand palette, the resulting color would be surprisingly gentle. It would not be a blinding, piercing white, nor a deep, imposing black. Instead, astronomers have calculated that the average color of the entire universe is a soft, warm, creamy beige. Scientists affectionately name this beautiful color cosmic latte. It is the exact comforting shade of a warm cup of tea with milk, or the soft, inviting tone of pale, weathered sandstone resting in the late afternoon sun. This overarching colour of existence is remarkably gentle, replacing the cold, stark, high-contrast imagery of deep space with a feeling of deep, domestic warmth. It suggests that, in its entirety, the universe is wrapped in a soft, inviting hue, a tranquil, creamy shade that blankets the overwhelming vastness in quiet, familiar comfort. Moving softly through this warm, ambient beige glow, the light occasionally bends, stretched and distorted by the graceful presence of unseen giants roaming the deep interstellar currents. Far from the crowded, glowing centres of galaxies, there exist rogue black holes, completely quiet and solitary, drifting peacefully through the empty stretches of the interstellar medium. Stripped of the swirling, chaotic disks of superheated gas that make their active counterparts so fierce and visible, these dormant wanderers are perfectly invisible against the blackness of space. Yet, they softly reveal their gentle passage through a breathtaking optical phenomenon called gravitational lensing. As one of these massive silent spheres drifts slowly across the path of a distant background star, its immense, concentrated gravity acts like a flawless, curved piece of magnifying glass. It bends the ancient background starlight around its edges into a perfect glowing circle, a transient luminous halo known as an Einstein ring. For a brief, elegant cosmic moment, a ring of pure starlight is suspended in the blackness, a mathematical masterpiece drawn by gravity itself. It is a beautiful, quiet reminder that even the darkest, most mysterious forces in the universe can create profound, fleeting moments of delicate illumination, turning the unseen into a delicate, glowing work of art. This slow, solitary drifting of rogue giants echoes the majestic, sweeping motion of our own solar home, reminding us that we too are voyagers on a grand, quiet journey. We often think of our blue planet as simply orbiting the sun, returning dependably to the exact same place in space every single year. But our entire solar system is actually engaged in a far grander sweeping voyage. We're constantly moving, orbiting the supermassive glowing centre of the Milky Way galaxy at incredible speeds. However, because the galaxy is so unimaginably vast, this immense journey takes approximately 230 million years to complete just a single, graceful rotation. This monumental span of time is known to astronomers as a galactic year. The last time our Earth was drifting through this exact position in the cosmic ocean, the very first dinosaurs were just beginning to walk under an ancient, unfamiliar sky, and the continents were fused together in a massive, singular landmass. There is a deep, grounding comfort to be found in this staggering scale of time. It puts our momentary daily worries into a soft, gentle perspective, showing us that we are merely passengers on a slow, continuous, eternal voyage. The body grows heavier, sinking deeper into rest as you realize you're part of an unimaginably long, patient arc, gently being carried through the stars in a wide, sweeping, protective circle. Far out on the icy fringes of our sweeping solar system, where the sun appears as little more than a brilliantly bright distant star, lies a world that perfectly embodies this slow, patient, unhurried pacing. Pluto, a dwarf planet long considered a cold, dead, static sphere of rock and ice, holds a remarkably tender and geologically active secret upon its dim surface. Sprawled across this tiny distant world is a massive, highly reflective region, shaped perfectly like a giant heart, formerly known as Tombor Regio. But this is not just a superficial mark or a trick of the shadows. The western half of this massive pale heart is a gigantic, deep basin, filled to the brim with a slow-moving, churning glacier of solid nitrogen ice. Because nitrogen ice is surprisingly soft, malleable, and pliable at these extreme freezing temperatures, the massive glacier is slowly but constantly turning over, renewing its own surface through deep, slow, thermal convection. It is gently erasing any craters, cracks, or scars from ancient asteroid impacts, leaving a landscape that is pristinely smooth, flat, and wonderfully unblemished. In the deep, quiet freeze of the outer solar system, this little world maintains a soft, renewing heart of ice, constantly smoothing over its own history, offering a beautiful lesson in the gentle, continuous renewal of the self, even in the coldest, most isolated stretches of the dark. Moving steadily inward toward the warmer, rocky worlds closer to the sun, we find staggering monuments to stillness that defy all earthly scales, standing as silent sentinels over ancient red landscapes. On the rusty, quiet, dust-swept surface of Mars stands Olympus Mons, an extinct shield volcano that holds the title of the largest mountain in the entire solar system. Yet, to call it a mountain hardly captures its true, serene and sprawling majesty. It stands nearly 3 times the towering height of Mount Everest, and its sprawling circular base is roughly the size of the entire country of France. However, its slopes are so incredibly gentle and gradual that if you were to stand anywhere on its massive sweeping flanks, you would not even realize you were standing on an incline. The summit is so remarkably vast, and the angle so slight that the base of the volcano would vanish over the horizon, hidden completely by the curvature of the planet itself. At its magnificent peak, Olympus Mons reaches so high that it actually pierces through the thin Martian atmosphere, its massive, silent caldera resting peacefully in the absolute pristine vacuum of space. It is a mountain that bridges a planetary world and the empty void, an immovable titan that sits in perfect, unbothered silence. It invites a sense of unshakable stability, a deep, heavy grounding that tells you nothing can disturb this monumental ancient peace. Such profound ancient stability is a comfort, showing that the mind too can find its permanent anchor, letting the chaotic thoughts of the day drift gently away, unhurried, unchallenged, and calm. Even our closest, most familiar celestial neighbour, the glowing silver moon, is engaged in a quiet, incredibly slow and unhurried act of drifting. From our earthly perspective, the moon seems like a permanent fixed guardian of the night, holding its steady, reliable vigil over our churning oceans and dark forests. Yet, hidden within its reliable clockwork orbit is a microscopic, continuous departure. Every single year, the moon moves about 1.5 inches further away from the Earth. It is roughly the exact same speed at which human fingernails grow. It is an exquisitely slow untethering, a quiet, imperceptible expansion of the space between our two worlds. Billions of years ago, the moon loomed massive and imposing in our night sky, and billions of years from now, it will appear smaller, more delicate, and more distant, yet still bound in its graceful gravitational waltz. It is a deeply soothing realization that change in the universe does not have to be abrupt, forceful, or chaotic. It can be as slow and gentle as the growing of a fingernail, a peaceful, unnoticed stretching of boundaries that allows everything to find its perfect, natural, and most comfortable resting place. As the moon slowly, silently drifts, it holds within its dusty, cratered crust an acoustic mystery that speaks to its vast, internal, and unbroken quiet. During the Apollo missions, astronauts place sensitive seismometers on the lunar surface to measure moonquakes and understand the internal structure of our satellite. When heavy lunar modules were intentionally dropped onto the dusty surface, scientists back on Earth discovered something wondrous, surreal, and entirely unexpected. The moon rang like a massive celestial bell. Because the moon is entirely dry, completely devoid of the dampening oceans, sprawling rivers, and soft, malleable, molten core that Earth possesses, seismic vibrations do not fade away or absorb quickly. Instead, a single, heavy impact sends gentle, undulating shock waves echoing and bouncing through the solid rock for hours on end. It is a slow, deep reverberation, a silent acoustic ringing trapped perfectly within a sphere of grey stone. Imagine that profound internal echo, a singular event creating a lasting, harmonious vibration deep beneath the silent, untouched, dusty plains. The surface remains completely undisturbed. The ancient craters cast long, still, black shadows in the harsh, unfiltered sunlight, but deep inside, the moon hums with a lingering, invisible memory of movement. It serves as a beautiful, calming metaphor for a peaceful mind, completely calm, still and unbothered on the surface, while quietly resonating with a deep, lasting internal harmony. These deep, internal, unseen transformations occur across the entire cosmos, turning ordinary, abundant elements into structures of staggering value and blinding beauty under the right, immense pressures of gravity and time. Far from our solar system, nestled softly in the glowing constellation of Cancer, orbits a dense, rocky exoplanet known as 55 Cancri E. This fascinating world is roughly twice the size of our own Earth, but its fundamental composition is entirely different, born in a unique pocket of the galaxy that is rich in carbon rather than oxygen and silicon. Under the crushing, unimaginable gravity of its own mass, and the searing, relentless heat of its close, bright host star, the raw carbon that makes up the bulk of this planet has been fundamentally transformed and compressed into the ultimate flawless crystalline structure. Astrophysicists believe that a massive, staggering portion of this alien world is made of pure, solid diamond. Imagine a planet-sized gemstone glittering fiercely and silently under the brilliant light of an alien sun, its deep, heavy mantle a labyrinth of flawless, unbreakable, compressed crystal. It is a brilliant testament to the universe's quiet power to take the most basic, fundamental building blocks of life and, through the slow, steady, patient application of pressure and deep time, transform them into something unimaginably precious, clear, and resilient. As the mind continues to quiet and settle, we can appreciate that the universe is constantly, carefully crafting these hidden, heavy jewels in the dark, silent testaments to patience, profound clarity, and the beautiful, enduring strength of the cosmos, waiting calmly in the velvet dark as we drift onward to new, uncharted and peaceful horizons. These hidden, heavy jewels of the cosmos are not confined to the deep, silent interiors of rocky planets. Sometimes, the universe strips away the outer, churning layers of an entire dying star to reveal a crystalline masterpiece of unimaginable proportions, glowing faintly in the deep dark. Just 50 light-years away from our own resting planet lies a white dwarf star known to astronomers as BPM 37093, affectionately named Lucy. This stellar remnant was once a vibrant, active sun much like our own, but after exhausting its nuclear fuel it collapsed inward, shedding its chaotic gases into the void. What remains is an intensely dense, quiet core made almost entirely of carbon and oxygen. Over billions of years of slow, patient cooling in the freezing vacuum of space, the extreme, crushing pressure at the heart of this dead star caused the carbon to crystallize, transforming it into a single, flawless diamond that is over 2,000 miles across. It is a diamond the size of our moon, floating weightless in the interstellar void, radiating a soft, pale light. The sheer, staggering scale of this brilliant, unearthly gem defies our everyday comprehension, yet it offers a profound sense of quiet awe. It is a stunning reminder that even when a star's active, fiery life comes to a peaceful end, the universe preserves its memory in a form of eternal, enduring beauty, resting forever in the silent dark. From the heavy, unchanging perfection of a solid star, we find that the cosmos is equally capable of breathtaking, delicate motion, using the most familiar and gentle of substances. In the quiet, freezing shadows of Saturn's majestic neighbourhood, there is a tiny, bright white moon named Enceladus. Its surface is a pristine, blinding shell of smooth ice, scarred only by long, parallel fissures known as tiger stripes. Beneath this frozen, unblemished crust lies a deep, global ocean of liquid water, kept warm by the gentle, rhythmic friction of Saturn's massive gravitational pull. Through those icy fissures at the moon's south pole, this hidden subsurface ocean softly exhales. It sends towering, graceful plumes of water vapour and tiny ice crystals hundreds of miles out into the dark vacuum of space. These silent geysers spray continuously, like a delicate cosmic fountain resting in eternal twilight. Most beautifully, these escaping, glittering ice particles do not simply vanish or drift away into nowhere. They slowly settle into a wide orbit, feeding and sustaining Saturn's vast, diffuse E-ring. It is an intricate, life-giving dance of gravity and water, a tiny glowing moon softly sharing its own internal ocean to paint a sweeping, continuous ring of frost around its giant, watchful parent. As you visualize those microscopic crystals of ice gently joining the grand rings of Saturn, your own breathing can effortlessly match this slow, sweeping rhythm. The body grows heavier, sinking deeper into the soft surfaces supporting you as your mind drifts toward the northern pole of that very same gas giant. There, raging softly in the upper atmosphere, is a storm unlike anything seen on our terrestrial home. It is a massive, swirling weather pattern composed of dense, golden-hued ammonia clouds. But instead of forming a chaotic, unpredictable circle like earthly hurricanes, the storm naturally arranges itself into a perfect, massive hexagon. This six-sided geometric wonder is so vast that multiple Earths could comfortably rest inside its borders. The intricate, straight-edged bands of wind flow at hundreds of miles per hour, yet from a distance the shape remains completely stable, holding its flawless geometric structure for decades, perhaps centuries. The universe is quietly revealing its hidden mathematical language, showing us that even within the churning fluid dynamics of a massive planetary atmosphere, there is an underlying, exquisite order. There is no need to try and make sense of the waking day's chaos. Simply observing the perfect natural geometry of the cosmos is enough to soothe the restless mind and instill a deep, lasting calm. This quiet realization of deep cosmic order brings us to planets where the very concept of a day is stretched and slowed into a rhythm of supreme, unhurried patience. Consider Venus, our closest planetary neighbour, wrapped eternally in a thick, highly reflective blanket of pale yellow clouds. Beneath that unbroken, obscuring veil, the rocky planet is engaged in a rotation so incredibly slow that it almost defies the meaning of time. Venus spins on its axis at a pace so leisurely that a single day on its surface, one full rotation from a hazy dawn to the following dawn, takes longer to complete than its entire year, its full orbit around the Sun. In addition to this majestic, sluggish pace, Venus spins completely backward compared to almost every other world in our solar system. If you could stand beneath its heavy golden sky, you would wait hundreds of Earth days to see the sun rise slowly in the west and months later set gently in the east. It is a world that absolutely refuses to be rushed, moving backward at its own deliberate, languid speed. It gently grants the mind permission to let go of urgency, suggesting that there is no universal requirement to move fast, and that moving slowly, even against the grain, is a perfectly natural and acceptable way to exist. The skies of such a slowly spinning world are a marvel, but as we journey beyond the familiar limits of our own solar system, the celestial mechanics of distant stars offer even more surreal cinematic twilights. In the constellation of Cygnus, roughly 200 light-years from where you currently rest, floats a peaceful gas giant known as Kepler-16b. This majestic, swirling planet does not orbit a solitary, lonely star like our Earth does. Instead, it traces a wide, stable path around two stars locked in a close, mutual embrace. Because it is a circumbinary planet, orbiting a twin sun system, the skies above its gaseous, undulating surface are painted with double the light and double the shadows. Imagine the sheer, overwhelming beauty of a twilight there. Two suns, one a brilliant golden-white star and the other a deep, glowing red dwarf, slowly descending toward the cloudy horizon together, casting dual, overlapping shadows of deep amber and violet across the atmosphere. The colours would blend and shift in a slow, hypnotic display of binary light, a celestial sunset that takes hours to softly fade into a starry night. It expands our perception of what a sky can be, offering a serene, beautiful vision of a universe where warmth and light can come from more than one source, blending together in perfect harmony. As those alien twin suns slip below their horizon, leaving behind a sky filled with unfamiliar constellations, we can find deep comfort in the things that remain perfectly, quietly preserved across the eons. Sometimes, the most profound monuments to stillness in the universe are not monumental structures of geology, but the smallest, most delicate impressions left behind by gentle visitors. High above us, on the silent grey plains of our own moon, rest the footprints of the Apollo astronauts. Pressed into the fine, powdery lunar soil over 50 years ago, these iconic marks remain completely untouched and unblemished. Because the moon has no atmosphere, there is no wind to sweep the dust, no rain to wash the surface smooth, and no shifting tectonic plates to erase the past. Barring the incredibly unlikely strike of a wandering micrometeorite, those precise footprints will sit there in the vacuum, absolutely pristine, for 10 to 100 million years. Imagine the soft, powdery texture of that grey soil, completely devoid of moisture, holding on to shapes with a perfect, unchanging memory. The mind can simply drift over this image, letting the profound silence of the lunar surface wash over you. There is a deep, unshakable peace in knowing that somewhere out there, completely undisturbed by the rushing of eras, absolute stillness reigns supreme. This enduring stillness of the lunar surface is a beautiful, dusty shell, but other icy cratered crusts in our solar system hide dynamic, nurturing secrets deep within their frozen vaults. We return to the realm of the gas giants, focusing now on Jupiter's magnificent pale moon, Europa. Viewed from space, Europa is a cracking, fractured sphere of water ice, crisscrossed with long, dark, reddish-brown lines that look like the delicate veins of a winter leaf. But the true magic of this world lies beneath the cold, rigid exterior. Hidden miles beneath that incredibly thick protective shell of ice is a vast global ocean of liquid, salty water. This dark, hidden sea holds more than twice the amount of liquid water found in all of Earth's oceans combined. Warmed by the gravitational kneading of massive Jupiter, the deep pressurized waters of Europa may be home to soft hydrothermal vents, churning quietly in the pitch-black depths. It is a hidden, oceanic sanctuary, completely shielded from the harsh radiation and freezing temperatures of open space. Nothing needs to be held too tightly here. You can surrender to the gentle, rhythmic rocking of an alien tide, a completely submerged world resting peacefully beneath a ceiling of solid ice, holding the quiet potential for unseen life in its warm, dark embrace. In the spirit of sharing our own warm, vibrant world with those hidden, distant shores, humanity has sent a physical, lasting whisper into the great, dark expanse. Hurtling through the freezing, empty space between the stars, far beyond the protective magnetic bubble of our solar system, are the twin Voyager spacecraft. Attached to the side of these lonely, silent probes are the golden records. These are actual phonograph records made of gold-plated copper, explicitly designed to survive the harsh, erosive environment of deep space for over 1 billion years. Etched into their microscopic grooves are the sounds of a summer rainstorm, the gentle crash of ocean waves, the rustle of wind through autumn leaves, a mother's gentle lullaby, and the spoken greetings of humanity in 55 different languages. They also carry the music of our world, a quiet, soaring symphony of human expression sailing at 38,000 miles per hour into the infinite void. Long after our cities have changed and our exact history is forgotten, these golden discs will continue their unhurried journey, a billion-year time capsule of our planet's gentlest sounds. It is a deeply poetic thought that the music of Earth is currently drifting through the interstellar dark, a soft, enduring echo of our existence gently playing into the absolute silence of the cosmos. As our earthly music drifts out to the ancient stars, it is merely returning a favour, for the very essence of who we are was generously gifted to us by the stars themselves. When you look down at your own resting hands, or feel the steady rhythmic beat of your heart, you're experiencing the universe in living, breathing form, the iron that carries life-giving oxygen through your blood, the calcium that forms the strong architecture of your bones, the nitrogen in your DNA, and the carbon that builds the cells of your body. None of these fundamental elements were created on Earth. They were forged billions of years ago in the unimaginably hot, pressurized cores of massive ancient stars. When those magnificent suns reach the end of their lives, they softly expel their enriched layers into the cosmic wind, scattering these building blocks across the galaxy. Over deep, unmeasured time, that heavy stardust drifted together, forming our sun, our planet, and eventually you. You're not simply observing the universe from a detached distance. You are made of it. You are literally stardust, awakened and capable of looking back up at the sky to admire your own cosmic origins. It is the ultimate form of connection, knowing that your resting body is intricately, physically woven from the ancient, fiery history of the galaxy. This profound lineage of light and dust traces all the way back to the quietest, earliest moments of creation, long before the first galaxies even took shape in the dark. For hundreds of millions of years after the Big Bang, the universe was engulfed in what astrophysicists poetically call the cosmic dark ages. It was a time of absolute unbroken blackness. The cosmos was filled with a thick, opaque fog of neutral hydrogen gas, completely devoid of any starlight. It was a vast, sprawling, silent slumber. But slowly, inevitably, gravity began its patient, gentle work, drawing the mists of hydrogen together in the dark. In tiny, dense pockets scattered across the void, the gas warmed, compressed, and finally softly ignited. This magnificent awakening is known as the cosmic dawn. The very first stars, massive and brilliantly blue, flickered to life, their pristine light gently piercing through the ancient fog, illuminating the universe for the very first time. It was the softest, most significant sunrise in existence, an end to the long cosmic night. Just as the universe rested in darkness before bursting into beautiful organized light, your mind too can use the quiet dark of sleep to rest, restore, and prepare. We continue to float on the lingering warmth of that first light, drifting further along the gentle, invisible currents of space, allowing the deepest mysteries of the cosmos to cradle us onward into an endless, restful peace. Floating on the lingering warmth of that first ancient light, we can watch as the universe takes the scattered ashes of its earlier stars and sculpts them into shapes of astonishing, familiar grace. In the constellation of Monoceros, the unicorn, lies a sprawling cloud of dust and ionized gas known as the Rosette Nebula. From our distant vantage point, this massive cosmic structure looks exactly like a delicate deep red rose blooming in the absolute zero of the void. At its centre, a cluster of young, brilliant stars acts as the glowing heart of the flower, emitting powerful, unseen stellar winds. These gentle, persistent currents of energy sweep outward in a perfect radial pattern, patiently clearing the surrounding dust and carving the heavy gas into layered, curving petals of crimson, magenta, and soft silver. It is a celestial masterpiece that stretches across 130 light-years of empty space. There is a profound comfort in seeing the gentle geometry of a terrestrial garden reflected on such a staggering, incomprehensible scale. It suggests that the underlying architecture of beauty is universal, and that the cosmos, even in its most monumental creations, has a tendency to unfold with the soft, recognizable elegance of a quiet spring morning. Just as a garden holds both bright blooms and the quiet shadows beneath the leaves, the universe is filled with celestial bodies that offer a softer, far more subdued presence. Scattered throughout the galactic dark are enigmatic objects known as brown dwarfs. These massive spheres are often called failed stars, but that title hardly captures their peaceful, enduring nature. A brown dwarf gathers too much mass to be a planet, yet not quite enough to ignite the roaring, chaotic fires of nuclear fusion that power a true sun. Instead of burning with a blinding, turbulent light, they simply smoulder. They radiate a deep, muted warmth, glowing softly in the infrared spectrum like a dying coal in a midnight hearth. If human eyes could see them, they would appear as dim, majestic spheres of deep magenta or pale violet resting heavily in the blackness. They have no explosive solar flares, no exhausting life cycle of expansion and collapse. They just exist, slowly and gracefully cooling over trillions of years. You do not always need to shine with a blinding intensity to earn your place in the universe. The mind can find permission here to release the day's demands. The breath settles, the body grows heavier, and you can simply rest in the knowledge that a quiet, gentle warmth is perfectly enough. This quiet, smouldering warmth creates environments where the fundamental rules of nature seem to soften and bend, giving rise to textures and landscapes that defy our earthly imagination. Just over 30 light-years away orbits an exoplanet known as Gliese 436b, a world roughly the size of Neptune that presents a breathtaking, beautiful paradox. It is a planet covered almost entirely in water, but because it orbits incredibly close to its dim host star, the surface temperatures soar to nearly 1,000 degrees. Yet, the water does not boil away into the void. The immense crushing gravity of the planet forces the water molecules together so tightly that they are locked into a dense, solid, crystalline structure, a unique state of matter known as Ice X. It is an entire world of burning ice, a glowing, translucent sphere where solid, frozen water exists happily within an inferno. Imagining this surreal, glowing crystal sphere allows the mind to gently unmoor itself from the rigid logic of the waking world. It reminds us that reality is far more flexible and wondrous than we often believe, and that the universe holds endless, fascinating surprises that require no analysis, only a quiet, drifting appreciation. While the mind might marvel at an ocean of burning crystal, it can also find deep solace in the familiar rhythmic movements of our closest companions. We think of our own moon as a perfectly still, locked guardian, always showing us the exact same, unchanging face. But if you were to watch the moon carefully over the course of a single month, compressing time so that the days blend into a seamless flowing stream, you would notice a subtle, soothing motion known as libration. The moon actually nods. Because its orbit is not a perfect circle, but a gentle, sweeping oval, it wobbles very slightly from side to side and up and down as it journeys across the night sky. Over time, this incredibly slow, rocking motion allows us to peek just over the edges of the lunar horizon, revealing an extra 9% of its hidden, cratered surface. It is a beautiful, deeply comforting gesture, resembling a sleeping face turning softly and heavily on a soft pillow. Even the most ancient, seemingly static objects in our night sky possess a gentle, living rhythm, a quiet, breathing motion that sways softly in the dark above us. This gentle, rhythmic connection is not unique to our world. It is a profound, stabilizing force found throughout the dancing mechanics of the cosmos through a phenomenon called tidal locking. When two celestial bodies orbit closely together for billions of years, the subtle pull of their gravity acts as a gradual braking system, slowly calming their rotations until they fall into a perfect, permanent synchronization. Way out in the freezing twilight edges of our solar system, the dwarf planet Pluto and its largest moon, Charon, have achieved this ultimate state of cosmic harmony. They are tidally locked to each other. As they waltz through the dark, they always present the exact same face to one another, completely inseparable and perfectly aligned. Neither world ever turns its back on its partner. If you were to stand on the icy surface of Pluto, Charon would hang motionless in the exact same spot in the sky, a massive, unmoving sentinel, forever loyal and forever still. It is an elegant display of celestial devotion, showing us that the chaotic forces of gravity eventually resolve into states of perfect equilibrium. The muscles release, the spine softens, as you let yourself become just as anchored, held perfectly in balance by the quiet forces supporting you tonight. Looking back from these loyal, locked companions toward our own blue world, we can witness a quiet phenomenon that goes entirely unnoticed from the ground, yet wraps our resting planet in a delicate, protective embrace. If you were to float in the silent vacuum of low Earth orbit and look down at the night side of our planet, you would not see a landscape plunged into total pitch-black darkness. Instead, the entire curvature of the Earth is continuously enveloped in a soft, luminescent halo known as air glow. During the daylight hours, the very highest layers of our atmosphere absorb the intense, energetic light from the sun. When night falls, those invisible atoms slowly and patiently release that stored energy back into the void, emitting a faint ethereal ribbon of pale green, soft gold, and deep violet light. It is as if the Earth itself is glowing from within, wrapped in a gossamer, luminous blanket while its inhabitants sleep. Even in the deepest hours of the night, our world holds on to a gentle, self-made light, a soothing atmospheric nightlight that ensures the dark is never truly absolute. This delicate, glowing halo that wraps the Earth is sheltered deep within a much larger invisible bubble that protects our entire cosmic neighbourhood from the unknown depths of deep space. Our sun is constantly breathing outward, exhaling a continuous rushing stream of charged particles known as the solar wind. This wind sweeps past the planets, travelling billions of miles until it finally pushes against the thin, freezing gases of the interstellar medium. The boundary where these two forces meet and balance each other out is called the heliopause, creating a sprawling, teardrop-shaped shield known as the heliosphere. We are, quite literally, sailing through the Milky Way inside a massive protective bubble of solar breath. As the sun moves, this magnetic shield pushes through the cosmic dust like the smooth, curved hull of a great ship carving a gentle, silent wake through a vast, dark ocean. It is an immensely comforting architecture, a realization that we're not entirely exposed to the chaotic wilderness of the galaxy. We're travelling together, safely encased in a warm magnetic sphere that silently deflects the harshness of the void, offering a quiet sanctuary for life to bloom. As our solar system carves its quiet path through the dark, it eventually meets the boundary where the sun's influence gently fades into the vast open ocean of intergalactic space. We often picture the staggering distances between galaxies as voids of absolute nothingness, but the universe abhors a true vacuum. Stretching across millions of light years, connecting the glowing islands of galaxies is a diaphanous, invisible mist called the warm-hot intergalactic medium. This incredibly diffuse web of plasma contains a staggering amount of the normal matter in the universe, yet it is stretched so unimaginably thin that you could travel through it for a century and only brush against a single, wandering atom. It glows softly in X-ray frequencies, invisible to the waking eye, a sweeping cosmic fog that rests gently between the stars. Knowing this mist is there transforms the terrifying concept of empty space into a feeling of soft, connected presence. The silence and emptiness are actually full of a quiet, unifying warmth. Let your own thoughts stretch out, becoming just as thin and weightless, drifting apart until they become a gentle, glowing mist that fades peacefully into the background. Flowing through these gossamer, invisible webs of heat, the galaxies themselves are drawn into a magnificent, organized drift that defines the largest known structures in existence. Our Milky Way, along with tens of thousands of neighboring galaxies, is not simply floating aimlessly. We are part of a colossal, flowing watershed of light called the Laniakea supercluster. In the Hawaiian language, Laniakea translates beautifully to immeasurable heaven. If you could map the movement of these galaxies, they would look like glowing bioluminescent plankton being carried along the slow, sweeping currents of a deep, dark ocean. We're all streaming toward a gravitational basin, a gentle convergence point hidden far out in the deep universe. There is no rushing this tide. It is a journey measured in billions of years, a grand, majestic migration of star cities moving perfectly in sync. We are part of an incomprehensible, beautifully choreographed flow, moving naturally and without effort. It is the ultimate release of control, understanding that our entire galaxy is simply a single, brilliant leaf floating on a grand cosmic river, being carried safely and surely toward an immeasurable heaven. As we float along this grand cosmic watershed, we can look far ahead to see the ultimate peaceful destination of our own starry river. In the distant future, our Milky Way galaxy will finally meet its closest massive neighbour, the Andromeda Galaxy. From a human perspective, we might imagine a violent, catastrophic collision, but the celestial mechanics of this event are profoundly different. The space between individual stars is so unimaginably vast, so beautifully expansive, that when these two monumental galaxies finally intertwine, it is highly unlikely that even a single star will collide with another. Instead, they will pass right through each other like grand, luminous ghosts. It will be a slow, majestic, gravitational waltz taking billions of years to complete, a sweeping re-choreography of starlight. The two spiraling structures will gently fold together, blending their ancient dust and glowing gas to create an entirely new, massive elliptical galaxy, softly glowing in the dark, what seems like a massive ending is actually a seamless, harmonious integration. It is a beautiful reminder that the universe favours creation and blending over destruction. The mind can drift onward toward this beautiful, distant future, knowing that the grandest events in the cosmos are simply slow, silent embraces, welcoming you deeper into the quiet, starlit rest of the night. As the Milky Way and Andromeda begin their slow, ghostly embrace in the theatre of your mind, the boundaries between the vast and the microscopic start to blur, revealing that the universe is just as intricate in its smallest details as it is in its grandest collisions. Within the heart of every atom that makes up your resting body, there is a staggering amount of empty space. If you were to remove all the dead space from the atoms of every human being currently living on Earth, the entire population of our planet would fit inside the volume of a single sugar cube. This doesn't mean we are insignificant. Rather, it reveals that we are built from the same spacious, ethereal architecture as the galaxies themselves. We are mostly made of the same quiet, expectant void that stretches between the stars. Understanding this allows the body to grow heavier, as if you are finally merging with that universal spaciousness. You're not a solid, heavy object struggling against gravity. You're a magnificent collection of stardust and wide-open space, held together by the gentle, invisible forces of the cosmos. Nothing needs to be held too tightly when you realize how much of your own nature is composed of this beautiful, light-filled emptiness. This internal spaciousness finds a perfect external mirror in the way the universe chooses to organize its most abundant and humble elements. Floating in the deep, cold reaches of the interstellar medium are massive clouds of simple molecular hydrogen. But within these clouds, the universe performs a silent act of complex chemistry. Scientists have discovered that space is filled with buckyballs, spherical molecules made of 60 carbon atoms arranged in a pattern of interlocking hexagons and pentagons, looking exactly like microscopic hollow soccer balls. These elegant geometric cages are incredibly resilient, drifting through the vacuum and surviving the harsh radiation of distant suns. They represent a fundamental blueprint of symmetry that exists from the subatomic level to the largest planetary scales. It is a soothing thought to imagine these billions of tiny perfect spheres rolling silently through the dark, carrying the building blocks of complexity in their hollow centres. They remind us that even in the most chaotic-looking clouds of gas, the universe is quietly maintaining a sense of play, structure, and geometric perfection. The gentle rolling of those carbon spheres eventually leads us to worlds where the very ground beneath our feet would feel like a soft, shifting dream. On the surface of Titan, the giant moon of Saturn we visited earlier, the landscape is covered in towering dunes that stretch for hundreds of miles across the equatorial regions. However, these are not dunes of silicate sand like those found in the Sahara. Instead, they are composed of tiny, dark grains of organic hydrocarbons, essentially a landscape made of soft, soot-like snow that has been sculpted by the thick, slow-moving atmosphere. Because Titan's gravity is so weak, about 1/7 of Earth's, and its air is so dense, a human standing on these dark dunes could strap on a pair of wings and fly through the hazy orange sky with the ease of a bird. The environment is thick, supportive, and incredibly gentle. Imagine the sensation of that soft, dark sand yielding beneath you as you look up at the massive ringed silhouette of Saturn hanging in the amber mist. It is a world where the physical laws have been dampened and softened, inviting a sense of weightless ease that mirrors the way your mind is now drifting away from the firm ground of the day. This sensation of weightless flight is not just a dream on Titan, it is the permanent state of the most ancient light in the universe, which has been travelling since the very beginning without ever losing its way. Shortly after the cosmic dawn, the universe became transparent, allowing the first photons to stream out into the darkness. This light has been travelling for nearly 13.8 billion years, and as it moves, it carries a perfect inverted image of everything it has passed. If you could travel far enough and fast enough, and possessed a telescope of infinite power, You could theoretically look back and see the birth of our own sun, or the very first stirrings of life on Earth. The universe is a perfect recording medium, a silent library where every moment of beauty is preserved in a travelling beam of light. As you rest, you can imagine yourself as part of this luminous history, a story being told in light that will continue to drift through the stars long after the present moment has faded. The breath settles deeper into this long perspective, knowing that your existence is a permanent part of the cosmic record. The steady journey of light through the void eventually brings us back to the strange, beautiful textures of our own solar neighbourhood, where time and temperature create works of art on a planetary scale. On the surface of Mars, in the frozen shadows of the southern pole, there is a region known as the Swiss cheese terrain. This landscape is composed of thick layers of permanent water ice, topped with a seasonal crust of solid carbon dioxide, or dry ice. As the Martian spring arrives, the sun's warmth causes the dry ice to turn directly into gas, carving out perfectly circular, smooth-walled pits in the white surface. These pits expand and merge, creating a landscape of soft, undulating curves and deep, shadowy hollows that look exactly like a vast frozen expanse of cream-coloured lace. There is no sound here, no wind strong enough to disturb the delicate edges of these icy circles. It is a world of pure, silent geometry, a testament to the power of slow, seasonal change to create intricate beauty from the simplest ingredients. It invites the mind to become just as still and smooth, letting the warmth of rest carve out a space for peace within you. As the Martian ice carves its slow circles, we find that the very vacuum of space itself is not a silent, empty nothing, but a medium that can carry the rhythmic heartbeat of a dying star. When a star similar to our Sun reaches its final stages, it becomes a red giant, swelling to hundreds of times its original size. During this time, the star begins to breathe in a very literal sense. It undergoes long, slow pulsations, physically expanding and contracting over the course of several hundred days. These are known as mirror variables. As the star expands, it cools and dims. As it contracts, it warms and brightens. It is a slow, luminous respiration that can be seen across the galaxy, a giant glowing chest heaving in the dark. This rhythmic pulsing is the star's way of gently shedding its outer layers, preparing to become a peaceful white dwarf. It is a magnificent slow-motion heartbeat that coordinates with the very rhythm of your own deep, sleepy breathing. The universe is not a cold, mechanical place. It is a space that breathes, that pulses, and that moves with a slow, biological grace that you're a part of right now. This stellar breathing eventually releases the heavy elements needed to create worlds where the rain is not made of water, but of shimmering liquid metal. On a distant dark exoplanet called WASP-76b, the conditions are so extreme that they create a weather system of surreal, terrifying beauty. One side of the planet always faces its blistering sun, while the other remains in a state of eternal night. On the day side, temperatures are hot enough to vaporize iron. This iron vapor is carried by powerful high-altitude winds to the much cooler night side. As the temperature drops, the iron vapor condenses into clouds and then falls as a steady, silent rain of liquid iron droplets. Imagine the sight of molten silver-blue rain falling through a dark alien sky, glowing faintly with its own residual heat. This is not a place of chaos, but of a different kind of balance, a world where even metal follows the cycle of the clouds. It reminds us that our definitions of normal are just a tiny fraction of the universe's vast palette. The mind can simply drift over these strange horizons, accepting that the universe is far larger and more creative than we can ever fully grasp. From a sky of falling iron, we move to a place of absolute crystalline silence, where the very concept of weather has been frozen into a permanent, beautiful stasis. In the deep, dark craters of our moon's polar regions, there are areas known as permanently shadowed regions. Because the moon's axis is almost perfectly upright, the sunlight never reaches the floors of these deep lunar bowls. They have been in total pitch-black darkness for over 2 billion years. These are the coldest places in the solar system, even colder than the surface of Pluto. Inside these craters, the silence is so absolute it is almost tangible. Any water molecules that wander into these shadows are instantly trapped, frozen into a state of permanent, unmoving ice that is as hard as rock. It is a place where time has truly stopped, a dark sanctuary of perfect, ancient preservation. There is a deep, heavy comfort in the idea of these cold, dark nests of silence. They are the ultimate resting places, untouched by light, sound, or change. You can allow your mind to settle into such a crater of quiet, far away from the vibrations of the world, held in a dark and perfect stillness. This absolute stillness is a rare treasure, for most of the universe is engaged in a slow, elegant migration, even when it appears to be standing still. Our own North Star, Polaris, which has been a steady, unmoving point of navigation for sailors and travellers for centuries, is not actually a single star. It is a triple star system, 3 suns bound together in a complex gravitational dance. The main star is a supergiant that pulses with light, while 2 smaller companions orbit around it in a slow, invisible waltz. Furthermore, Polaris is not a permanent North Star. Because of a slow wobble in Earth's axis called precession, the point in the sky that we call north changes over thousands of years. In the time of the ancient Egyptians, a different star called Thuban held this place of honour. In the future, the bright star Vega will take the mantle. The universe is always in motion, but the motion is so slow, so deliberate, and so vast that it feels like a form of permanence. It teaches us that we don't need to be stationary to be stable. You can move, you can change, and you can drift, all while remaining a steady, reliable point of light in your own life. This long-term celestial wobble eventually aligns the stars in ways that create moments of perfect, fleeting symmetry back on our home world. Every few years, the moon, the earth, and the sun align so precisely that the moon's shadow falls upon the earth in a total solar eclipse. During those few minutes of totality, the day turns into a strange silvery twilight. The birds go quiet, the temperature drops, and for a brief moment we can see the sun's corona, a shimmering ethereal veil of white plasma that usually remains hidden. It is a moment of profound shared silence, where the clockwork of the heavens becomes visible to the naked eye. This alignment is only possible because of a miraculous cosmic coincidence. The sun is 400 times larger than the moon, but it is also exactly 400 times further away, making them appear identical in size in our sky. It is a piece of perfect accidental art. As you drift towards sleep, you can feel your own mind and body coming into this kind of perfect alignment. A rare, quiet moment where everything is exactly as it should be, and the beauty of the universe is revealed in the silence, leaving the door open for even deeper mysteries to find you in the dark. As those deeper mysteries step gently through the open door of your awareness, they bring with them the ancient gathered wisdom of the oldest cosmic communities. Deep within the halo of our Milky Way, hovering like magnificent glowing chandeliers above the flat, churning disk of the galaxy, are structures known as globular clusters. These are tightly bound, perfectly spherical collections containing hundreds of thousands, and sometimes millions, of the universe's most ancient stars. They were born together billions of years ago, coalescing from pristine gas long before the iconic spiral arms of our galaxy even took shape in the dark. Gravity holds them in a permanent, loving embrace, creating a dense, luminous core where the stars are packed incredibly close together. If you were to rest on a planet inside one of these clusters, your night sky would be an overwhelming masterpiece, ablaze with tens of thousands of stars shining brighter than our brightest, fullest moon. Yet, despite this staggering density, these stars never collide. They simply move in a grand, harmonious swarm, perfectly balanced and perpetually sustained by their shared gravity. It is a stunning display of cosmic unity and endless patience. The breath settles, and the mind can simply drift into this soft, glowing sphere of ancient light, realizing that there is immense peace in knowing that some things are meant to stay together, held safely and warmly in the dark for all of time. When we look out toward these ancient glittering spheres, sometimes it feels as though the cosmos is gently looking back. About 700 light-years away, in the cold, quiet constellation of Aquarius, floats the Helix Nebula. This breathtaking structure is a planetary nebula formed by a dying star that has gently, softly exhaled its outer layers of gas into the surrounding space. From our distant vantage point on Earth, this expanding cloud of glowing oxygen and hydrogen looks exactly like a colossal, unblinking, beautifully coloured eye resting in the void. Its deep, translucent blue centre is surrounded by soft, sweeping irises of pale orange, delicate magenta and dusty pink. The universe has sculpted a breathtaking mirror of our own observation, an intricate, overlapping geometry of light that watches silently over the dark. It reveals a profound truth about the cosmos. The processes of ending, of shedding old layers and letting go, do not have to be violent, frightening or sad. They can result in the creation of profound, enduring beauty that outlasts the original star by millennia. You can rest easy under the gentle, colourful gaze of this celestial eye, feeling watched over by the quiet, artistic architecture of the stars. This quiet gaze eventually sweeps over the frozen, forgotten edges of our own solar neighbourhood, where familiar weather takes on an otherworldly, delicate logic. We previously explored the sweeping nitrogen ice glaciers of Pluto, but if you were to look closer at the jagged, towering mountain ranges that border those vast frozen plains, you would see something wonderfully familiar. They are capped with bright, pristine white snow. However, in the profound, freezing vacuum of the outer solar system, this is not a snow made of frozen water. It is a delicate, crystalline frost of pure methane. Even more astonishing is the way this alien snow falls. On Earth, the air grows colder the higher you climb, but on Pluto, a strange temperature inversion means the thin, hazy atmosphere is actually warmer at higher altitudes. Because of this, the methane snow does not fall softly from the clouds. Instead, it condenses directly out of the thin air onto the highest peaks, building from the top down. The mountains are quietly frost-painting themselves in the dark, gathering white crowns in the absolute silence. It is a gentle reminder that the universe can take the exact same concepts we know and turn them beautifully upside down, offering a fresh, quiet perspective on the flexible nature of reality. The gentle painting of frost on a tiny distant world is mirrored by the quiet, fading canvases of entire galaxies drifting in the deep intergalactic ocean. Nestled between the churning, energetic spiral galaxies filled with the bright blue light of new stellar birth and the massive, ancient elliptical galaxies lies a peaceful middle ground known as lenticular galaxies. These are the quiet, restful retirement homes of the cosmos. A lenticular galaxy is shaped like a smooth, perfect flattened disk, but it has completely exhausted its sprawling clouds of interstellar gas and dust. Without the raw materials to ignite new suns, the furious, chaotic era of star formation has simply ceased. What remains is a breathtaking, smooth halo of aging golden and red stars drifting slowly in a serene, dust-free environment. There are no turbulent cosmic winds here, no bright, violent flares of stellar nurseries breaking the calm. It is a galaxy that has finished its most active work and is now entirely content to just exist, radiating a soft, steady amber glow into the void. The body grows heavier, sinking deeply into the mattress as you embrace the profound relief that comes when the heavy work is finally done, and all that is left is to rest in the warm, ambient light of a quiet, unhurried existence. Moving from the dry golden disks of aging galaxies, we drift toward the vibrant, life-giving potential of deep, unbroken blue horizons. Far out in the constellation of Cygnus, orbiting comfortably within the habitable zone of its bright host star, is a massive exoplanet called Kepler 22b. While we cannot pierce its atmosphere to see its surface directly, planetary scientists believe this majestic world could be a Hycean planet, a globe completely and entirely covered in a single, incredibly deep planetary ocean. Imagine a world without rocky continents, without jagged shores, and without the crashing, turbulent boundaries where land meets sea. There is only a vast, continuous expanse of rolling, dark blue water beneath a thick, sheltering atmosphere. The waves there do not break violently upon rocks or cliffs. They simply roll in endless, unbroken ribbons across the circumference of the entire globe, moving to the slow, rhythmic pull of the planet's moon. It is a world of pure, fluid momentum, a hypnotic, watery sphere suspended perfectly in the starlight. You can let your own thoughts become just as fluid, dissolving the hard shores and sharp boundaries of your daily worries, allowing your mind to float weightlessly on a deep, eternal and perfectly calm cosmic ocean. Through this deep, continuous ocean of space, invisible currents carry the softest, most magnetic music ever composed. We often think of the interstellar vacuum as completely empty, cold and silent, but it's actually filled with an incredibly thin, charged gas called plasma. Threaded through this cosmic plasma are the massive, invisible magnetic fields of distant stars and spinning galaxies. When these magnetic field lines are disturbed by the slow, gravitational movement of celestial bodies, they vibrate and hum, much like the plucked strings of a grand cosmic harp. These invisible ripples are called Alphen waves. They travel for millions of miles through the plasma, carrying magnetic energy and low-frequency resonance across the void without making a single sound. The universe is literally humming with magnetic tension, a silent symphony playing on strings made of pure structural energy. Though our human ears cannot hear this frequency, knowing it exists brings a profound sense of harmony to the dark. The empty spaces between the stars are not void at all. They are rich with unseen, vibrating connections, playing a slow, majestic lullaby that binds the galaxy together in a delicate, invisible web of soundless music. As these magnetic waves ripple endlessly through the dark, they eventually encounter regions where the very fabric of space is so dense and heavy that even light itself is forced to slow its frantic, brilliant pace. According to the rigid rules of earthly physics, the speed of light in a vacuum is an absolute, unbreakable constant. Yet, when a beam of starlight travels close to an object with immense, crushing gravity, like our own sun, a dense neutron star or a massive gas giant, it experiences a beautiful phenomenon known as the Shapiro time delay. The intense gravity of the massive object actually warps and stretches the space around it, creating a deep, invisible valley in the cosmic fabric. The light must travel down into this gravitational valley and climb back out again, which subtly, gently slows its journey toward our eyes. It is as if the starlight is swimming through thick, golden honey. The universe is capable of taking the fastest, most restless energy in existence and forcing it to take a slow, unhurried breath. Nothing needs to be rushed. If the cosmos can slow the absolute speed of light with the gentle weight of gravity, you too can allow your racing thoughts to decelerate, sinking heavily and happily into the comforting gravitational pull of deep, restorative sleep. When that's slowed, patient light finally arrives at a cloud of cosmic dust. It doesn't always ignite or explode. Sometimes, it simply creates a soft, glowing atmosphere of quiet, ethereal contemplation. Surrounding the famous Pleiades star cluster, also known as the Seven Sisters, is a wispy, trailing shroud of interstellar dust. This is known as a reflection nebula. Unlike other nebulas that are superheated by radiation into glowing neon colours of red and green, a reflection nebula is completely cold, dim, and quiet. The microscopic dust particles do not generate their own heat. They merely catch the brilliant sapphire blue light of the nearby stars and scatter it softly through the darkness. It acts much like a thick coastal fog catching the sweeping beam of a lonely lighthouse on a dark night. It creates a surreal, ghostly blue haze that seems to wrap the ancient stars in a delicate, translucent veil. The light is beautifully diffused, softened, and made safe for the weary eye to observe. It reveals a comforting truth. You do not always need to generate your own blinding light to be beautiful. Sometimes, simply reflecting the ambient light around you, softening it into a gentle, hazy glow, is the most perfect and peaceful way to exist in the dark. Peering through that soft blue cosmic fog, we can spot the strangest, smoothest stones skipping through the freezing outer dark of our own solar system. In the icy Kuiper belt, billions of miles beyond the orbit of Neptune, spins a dwarf planet named Haumea. Unlike the perfect, heavy and spherical shapes of most planets, Haumea spins on its axis so incredibly fast, completing a full day in just 4 Earth hours, that its own centrifugal force has stretched it outward. It is shaped exactly like a giant smooth oval riverstone tumbling end over end through the void. But this strange, elongated world holds a delicate, beautiful secret. It is the only known object in the vast Kuiper belt to possess its own distinct ring system. Wrapped around this tumbling icy stone is a faint, perfect circle of crushed ice and rock, moving in absolute quiet synchronicity with the planet's rapid spin. It is a beautifully asymmetrical masterpiece, a smooth, spinning pebble, adorned with a halo of frost. It reminds us that absolute perfection and symmetry are not strict requirements of the universe. Even the oddest, most unusual shapes can hold their own delicate, orbiting beauty, tumbling happily and perfectly through the freezing starry night. As that tumbling ringed stone continues its long, slow arc around our distant sun, we're reminded that no matter how far we look, there are always some mysteries that the universe chooses to keep gently hidden from our eyes. When astronomers look up to map the distant, sprawling superclusters of galaxies, there is a massive, sweeping region of the sky where they can see absolutely nothing but darkness and thick, obscuring dust. This region is beautifully and accurately named the Zone of Avoidance. It is not an empty void at all, but rather the exact place where the thickest, brightest part of our own Milky Way galaxy blocks our view of the deeper universe behind it. Our own starry home acts as a beautiful, dense velvet curtain, hiding nearly 20% of the extragalactic sky from our telescopes. There are countless galaxies, unmeasured wonders, and ancient lights hiding quietly behind the dust of our own galactic living room, entirely unseen. There is a deep, comforting safety in this hidden zone. It tells us that we do not need to know everything, see everything, or solve every mystery before we can finally rest. Some things are meant to remain safely obscured, resting quietly in the shadows behind the stars, waiting patiently for a time when we are ready to open our eyes and look again. Resting securely within that hidden zone, safely tucked behind the velvet curtains of our own galactic living room, we find that the empty space immediately surrounding our solar system is actually an incredibly soft, comforting environment. We're currently drifting through a massive wispy region of space, affectionately named by astronomers as the local interstellar cloud, or simply the local fluff. This is a sprawling, warm cloud of ionized hydrogen and helium gas that stretches for 30 light years across the dark. It is so unimaginably thin and delicate that it offers absolutely no resistance to our passage, yet its gentle, warm presence wraps around our entire solar neighborhood like a gossamer blanket. For thousands of years, our sun, the Earth, and all the sleeping planets have been sailing peacefully through this soft, glowing fluff, completely undisturbed. It is a beautiful realization that our journey through the Milky Way is not a harsh, turbulent voyage through a hostile void, but rather a slow, cushioned drift through a warm interstellar mist. The universe has provided a gentle, glowing atmosphere for our solar system to rest within, offering a profound sense of safety and quiet insulation from the deeper, colder unknowns of the wider galaxy. As we sail steadily through this soft cosmic mist, our solar system leaves a long, sweeping signature in its wake, much like a beautiful trailing garment softly brushing the floor. As the sun's magnetic shield pushes through the local fluff, it stretches backward, creating a colossal comet-like tail known as the heliotail. This invisible magnetic wake is made of slowed, gentle solar wind particles that trail behind us for billions and billions of miles into the dark. It is a four-leaf clover-shaped ribbon of exhausted, cooling plasma that silently maps our journey through the stars. Just as a slow-moving ship leaves a fading, peaceful ripple on the surface of a midnight lake, we are leaving a massive magnetic ripple in the fabric of space. It is a comforting thought that our existence creates a soft, enduring impression on the cosmos. You do not need to push forcefully against the world to leave a mark. Simply by existing and moving through time, you leave a majestic, trailing wake of energy, a quiet testament to your passage that slowly and gracefully fades into the vast cosmic ocean. Looking back from that sweeping magnetic tail toward the anchor of our solar system, we find a monument to supreme, unshakable balance resting in the center of the dark. Our sun is a churning, roaring sphere of superheated plasma, constantly racked by magnetic storms and burning at millions of degrees. Yet, despite this overwhelming internal energy and its constant heavy rotation, it is the most perfectly spherical natural object ever measured in the universe. Because its immense gravity pulls everything inward with such absolute equal precision, the sun has almost no equatorial bulge. If you were to shrink our massive sun down to the exact size of a children's beach ball, the difference in measurement between its equator and its poles would be less than the width of a single human hair. It is a staggering display of cosmic equilibrium. It teaches the mind that true, lasting stability can exist even amidst incredible warmth and energetic movement. The breath settles, the chest rises and falls, and the body grows heavily relaxed, aligning with this perfect, unwavering center. You can find your own perfect internal sphere of calm, knowing that ultimate balance is the natural resting state of the stars. As the mind mirrors this perfect spherical balance, we drift outward away from the sun, moving through the quiet, dusty expanse of the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Here, scattered among millions of dark, silent and misshapen rocks, floats the dwarf planet Ceres. It is a lonely, ancient world of ice and stone, but it holds a remarkably beautiful glowing secret hidden within its deep, shadowed craters. In the centre of the sprawling Akata crater lie massive, brilliant white deposits of a highly reflective mineral called sodium carbonate. These are vast, ancient salt plains left behind when a subterranean, salty ocean slowly breached the surface and froze in the vacuum of space. Because the rest of Ceres is a dull, charcoal grey, these crystalline salt deposits catch the dim, distant light of the sun and gleam like luminous silver beacons in the dark. It is a world that has quietly decorated its own scars with brilliant reflective frost. It reminds us that even in the most overlooked, barren stretches of our lives, there is the potential to unearth hidden, glowing beauty, quietly reflecting the light and illuminating the long, dark journey through the void. Following that dim, reflected light further out, we enter the colossal shadow cast by the giant planet Jupiter, arriving at a moon that turns the violent forces of nature into a slow, delicate and completely silent snowfall. This is Io, the most geologically active body in the solar system, covered in hundreds of towering, restless volcanoes. However, the atmosphere here is so incredibly thin that it is essentially a vacuum. When these massive volcanoes erupt, they do not create a deafening roar or a chaotic ash cloud. Instead, they shoot towering, graceful plumes of sulfur dioxide gas hundreds of miles into the silent, freezing dark. The moment this warm gas meets the absolute cold of space, it instantly crystallizes, turning into a fine yellow-white frost. This delicate material then drifts slowly back to the surface, blanketing the scarred, colourful landscape in a continuous, soft and utterly silent snow of brimstone and ice. It is a surreal, beautiful translation of chaotic energy into a quiet, falling grace. The mind can simply watch these endless, soundless flakes fall in the dark, laying a fresh, smooth blanket over the anxieties of the day, burying everything under a peaceful, renewing quiet. Looking up through the silent yellow snows of Io, the massive striped face of Jupiter fills the sky, dominated by the famous swirling eye of the Great Red Spot. This colossal, high-pressure storm has been raging across the planet's southern hemisphere for centuries, a sprawling, turbulent oval large enough to swallow the Earth whole. Yet, careful, patient observation over the last few decades has revealed a profound and comforting truth about this iconic tempest. It is slowly, steadily calming down. The furious, sweeping winds are losing their ragged edge, and the storm itself is steadily shrinking. As it loses its sprawling oval width, it is gently rounding out, transforming into a smaller, smoother, and far more peaceful circular shape. The universe is showing us that even the most legendary, seemingly permanent storms eventually lose their fury. Nothing rages forever. The chaotic winds of the cosmos are inevitably subject to the calming, organizing forces of time and gravity. You can allow this realization to soothe your own internal weather. Whatever storms you're carrying from the waking world are already softening, rounding their sharp edges and slowly fading into a perfect, quiet circle of rest. This deeply comforting deceleration of momentum continues as we drift to the icy, deep blue realm of Neptune, where we encounter a world that completely ignores the established rushing flow of the solar system. Neptune's largest moon, Triton, is a solitary, captured wanderer from the distant Kuiper belt. It is the only large moon in our entire celestial neighbourhood that orbits in a retrograde direction, meaning it moves entirely backward, contrary to the rotation of its massive parent planet. As it slowly unwinds the clock, travelling against the grain of the celestial tides, its surface reveals the strange, beautiful consequences of its unique path. Much of Triton is covered in a mesmerizing, undulating landscape known to planetary geologists as cantaloupe terrain. It is a vast, icy expanse of smooth, overlapping dimples and gentle, sweeping depressions that look exactly like the textured rind of a melon. There are no sharp, jagged impact craters here, only soft, rolling folds of dirty water ice that have been slowly warmed and softened by the moon's internal friction. Triton gracefully grants you permission to step out of the rushing current. You do not always need to move forward with the crowd. There is immense peace and unique beauty in simply moving at your own pace, even if it means moving gently backward into a soft, quiet memory of rest. Leaving the boundaries of our solar system entirely, we can see that this tendency to leave a beautiful, trailing history behind is woven into the very fabric of the galaxies themselves. Our Milky Way is flanked by two small, irregular satellite galaxies known as the Large and Small Magellanic Clouds, which slowly orbit our massive, spiralling home in a grand gravitational waltz. As they move through the vast, empty halo of our galaxy, they leave behind a colossal, invisible ribbon of pure, neutral hydrogen gas known as the Magellanic Stream, image mapping the invisible Magellanic Stream connecting the Magellanic Clouds to the Milky Way. This immense arcing river of ancient gas stretches for hundreds of thousands of light years across the intergalactic night. It is a silent, cosmic umbilical cord, a bridge of pure potential that physically connects our galaxy to its smaller wandering companions. Although our human eyes cannot see this sweeping ribbon of hydrogen, Radio telescopes reveal it as a majestic glowing archway that wraps around the Milky Way like a soft protective embrace. It reminds us that we are beautifully tethered to the things that surround us, linked by invisible, enduring connections that span the deepest voids and hold the ancient structures of the universe together in perfect harmony. Following this invisible, gaseous ribbon back into the dense, ancient heart of the stars, we find the quiet, cosmic origins of the most prized heavy elements in our earthly world. When we hold a piece of gold, a smooth, heavy ring, or a delicate, shining chain, we are holding a frozen fragment of a profound celestial embrace. The universe cannot forge gold in the ordinary, slow-burning furnaces of normal suns. Instead, this dense, beautiful metal is created in the incredibly rare, fleeting moment when two impossibly heavy neutron stars spiral toward each other and gently collide. In the absolute fraction of a second when these two massive, flawless spheres finally touch, they release a soft, brilliant flash known as a kilonova. The resulting sheer pressure instantly fuses simple atoms into heavy, precious elements, scattering a literal cloud of glowing gold dust into the interstellar void. Over billions of years, that precious dust drifts silently through the dark, eventually settling into the rocks of a newborn Earth. The heavy, comforting weight of the precious metal in our world is the enduring memory of that ancient, silent collision, a reminder that the most valuable, beautiful things we possess are born from the ultimate, harmonious merging of two wandering stars, finding their perfect rest in one another. But what remains inside those unimaginably dense, ancient neutron stars that haven't collided, the ones that simply rest alone in the dark, spinning in eternal silence. The extreme gravity at the heart of a solitary neutron star creates an environment that completely defies our everyday understanding of friction, resistance, and effort. Deep beneath the perfectly smooth, iron-like crust of the star, the matter is crushed so tightly that it undergoes a bizarre and beautiful quantum transformation. Astrophysicists believe the core becomes a superfluid, a liquid state of matter that flows with absolutely zero viscosity, meaning it experiences absolutely no friction whatsoever. If you were to stir a cup of this cosmic superfluid, it would continue to spin perfectly without ever slowing down for all of eternity. It is an environment of absolute, flawless, effortless motion. There is no dragging, no wear, and no exhaustion. It is the very definition of a perfect, frictionless piece. As your breathing slows to a deep rhythmic hum, you can imagine your own mind adopting this perfect, superfluid state. The thoughts that once rubbed and chafed against the waking day now simply glide, perfectly smooth, encountering no resistance, slipping effortlessly into the heavy, frictionless embrace of the dark, waiting calmly for the next gentle wave of cosmic wonder to carry you deeper into sleep. Slipping smoothly outward from that perfect, frictionless core of a dormant neutron star, we encounter a different kind of celestial endurance, one characterized by an incredibly slow, gentle, and eternal warmth. The vast majority of stars scattered throughout the sweeping arms of our Milky Way are not massive, blinding giants destined to explode in violent supernovas. They are red dwarfs. These are small, dim, and incredibly efficient suns, radiating a soft, deep crimson light. Because they are so small, the plasma inside them circulates in a slow, continuous, and perfect convection current, constantly drawing fresh hydrogen down into the core. This elegant, unhurried process means a red dwarf does not burn through its fuel. It slowly, patiently sips it. Our own brilliant sun will shine for about 10 billion years, but a red dwarf like our closest stellar neighbour, Proxima Centauri, will continue to emit its soft red glow for trillions of years. They are the eternal embers of the cosmos. Long after the bright, chaotic stars have faded from the night sky, these quiet, ruby-coloured spheres will remain, holding a steady, comforting vigil in the deep dark. They are a profound lesson in patience, showing us that moving slowly, burning softly, and taking our time is the truest path to lasting endurance. Orbiting closely within the warm glow of these eternal embers, we find rocky worlds that offer the most breathtaking, unchanging skies in the universe. Because these exoplanets sit so close to their host stars, their rotation is gracefully braked by gravity until they become tidally locked, much like our own moon. One side of the planet is bathed in perpetual unmoving daylight, while the other side faces the endless freezing night of open space. But between these two extremes lies a magnificent permanent sanctuary known as the Terminator Line. This is a global, unbroken ribbon of twilight that wraps entirely around the world. If you were to stand in this delicate boundary zone, you would witness a sunset that never truly ends. The sky would be permanently painted in deep, bruised purples, soft golds, and dusty rose hues, with the large red sun hanging motionless on the horizon forever. It is a place of eternal dusk, an unchanging liminal space where the frantic energy of the day and the deep silence of the night rest in absolute, perfect balance. You can allow your own breathing to mirror this perfect, unchanging equilibrium, knowing that within you is a permanent twilight space, a quiet sanctuary where the day gracefully ends but the dark is never absolute. This concept of a permanent unbroken ribbon of twilight finds a stunning structural echo closer to home, suspended around the massive golden sphere of Saturn. When we look at Saturn through a telescope, its sprawling rings appear as a solid, brilliant, and heavily imposing disk of light. The sheer scale of this ring system is staggering. It stretches out so far that the entire distance between the Earth and our moon could easily fit across its width. Yet, this visual weight is a beautiful cosmic illusion. The rings of Saturn are unimaginably, impossibly thin. While they span hundreds of thousands of miles across the dark, their vertical thickness is often less than 30 feet. They are thinner, proportionately, than the edge of a sharp razor blade. If you were to drift your spacecraft horizontally into the exact plane of the rings, this massive glowing halo would simply vanish from your sight, dissolving into a single, invisible line. It is an architecture of absolute fragility and delicate balance, made of billions of crushed ice crystals gently grinding and singing against one another in the dark. It reminds the mind that things of massive, overwhelming scale do not have to be heavy or burdensome. They can be as light, delicate, and weightless as a sheet of paper floating in the void. In stark contrast to this brilliant, shimmering ice, the universe also weaves rings of a far more shadowy, ethereal nature. While Saturn wears its brilliant crown, the giant planet Jupiter possesses its own vast ring system, one that remained completely hidden from humanity until passing spacecraft looked back toward the Sun and saw it backlit in the dark. Jupiter's rings are not made of bright reflective ice, but of incredibly fine microscopic dust. This gossamer halo is continuously, softly replenished by the gentle impacts of wandering micrometeorites striking Jupiter's tiny inner moons. As the dust is kicked up, it slowly drifts outward, pulled into a delicate smoky disk by the giant planet's gravity. It is a ghostly fading footprint of ancient collisions, a soft charcoal-coloured mist suspended against the vibrant swirling storms of the atmosphere below. There is a deep, soothing beauty in this invisible architecture. It is a gentle reminder that even the things we cannot easily see, the subtle, quiet histories and the soft, dusty memories, form beautiful, protective circles around us, requiring nothing more than a shift in perspective to be fully appreciated and understood. Such delicate, dusty halos are born in the freezing depths of the outer solar system, but closer to the blazing centre of our celestial neighbourhood, the universe sculpts entirely different arcs of falling grace. Hovering above the roaring, superheated surface of our Sun, immense, invisible magnetic fields stretch and twist into towering loops that reach hundreds of thousands of miles into space. Occasionally, the fiery plasma at the base of these loops is propelled upward into the freezing vacuum of the higher corona. As this glowing material reaches the peak of its magnificent arc, it rapidly cools and condenses, forming massive luminous droplets. These glowing spheres of plasma, some as large as small countries, then begin a slow, hypnotic descent back toward the solar surface. This phenomenon is known as coronal rain. Because of the complex magnetic fields, this fiery rain does not fall in a straight chaotic line. It glides smoothly and elegantly down the curved, invisible magnetic tracks, like drops of glowing honey sliding down a curved pane of glass. It is a silent, slow-motion cascade of golden fire. Let the heavy, slow-motion descent of that falling light mirror the heaviness in your own resting limbs, drawing your consciousness deeper and deeper down into the soft, supporting dark. While we often perceive the cosmos purely through the silent lens of light, gravity and slow motion, the universe also carries a distinct, lingering sensory texture that grounds it into a comforting reality. The vacuum of space is entirely devoid of air, meaning you could never breathe it in directly, but the interstellar medium is filled with complex organic molecules known as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. When astronauts perform long, arduous spacewalks and finally return to the safety of the airlock, the repressurization of the cabin brings the physical scent of the cosmos inside. As they remove their helmets, they are met with a surprising, strangely nostalgic aroma clinging to their suits. Space, it turns out, smells deeply of hot metal, welding fumes, sweet raspberries, and seared steak. It is a rich, heavy, and robust scent. Rather than an empty, sterile void, the universe smells of an ancient cosmic forge, carrying the warm domestic aromas of a summer hearth or a glowing campfire. It brings the staggering, incomprehensible scale of the galaxy down to a deeply human, recognizable comfort, wrapping the cold equations of astrophysics in the warm, inviting scent of toasted walnuts and warm iron. Remarkably, this aromatic, heavy stardust does not remain isolated in the distant vacuum. It is constantly, softly arriving on our own doorstep. We often think of space as a place we must build massive rockets to reach, but the universe is continuously reaching down to touch us. Every single day, as the Earth ploughs through the ancient debris fields of the solar system, roughly 60 tons of cosmic dust drift down through our atmosphere. These are micrometeorites, tiny, perfectly spherical droplets of iron and stone that melted in the high atmosphere and slowly, patiently floated down to the surface. Right now, in the quiet dark outside your window, invisible stardust is falling softly onto the leaves of the trees, settling onto the quiet surface of the oceans and resting on the roof above your head. You have walked through it, breathed it, and swept it from your doorstep. It is a beautiful, continuous communion. The boundary between our earthly home and the grand spinning galaxy is not a strict, impermeable wall. It is a soft, porous veil where the ancient dust of the stars gently integrates itself into the quiet landscape of our daily lives. As this microscopic rain falls gently upon our world, occasionally a much larger solitary traveller passes silently through the dark waters of our solar system, carrying secrets from entirely different cosmic oceans. In recent years, astronomers have observed interstellar visitors, such as the comet Borisov, wandering through our celestial neighbourhood. These are not comets born in our familiar Oort cloud. They formed billions of years ago in the swirling, icy debris disks of completely unknown distant stars. Ejected from their home systems by the gravitational pull of giant alien planets, they have drifted alone through the absolute zero of the interstellar void for uncounted eons. They enter our solar system quietly, briefly warmed by our sun, their ancient ice softly sublimating into a glowing tail before they simply drift back out again, continuing their endless solitary arc through the Milky Way. They are the silent, wandering messengers of the deep, asking for nothing, arriving without fanfare and leaving without disruption. You do not need to capture or examine every passing thought. You can simply let them drift through your mind like these silent, ancient wanderers, arriving smoothly and departing without ever disturbing your profound peace. The safe, uninterrupted journey of these ancient voyagers through our solar system highlights the incredible serenity of our specific location in the vast spinning disk of the galaxy. We do not live in the frantic, blindingly bright centre of the Milky Way, where supermassive black holes churn the gas and stars are packed so tightly that the night sky would be blinding. Nor do we live on the extreme frayed edges of the galactic disk, where the essential heavy elements required to build rocky planets and vibrant life are too scarce. We reside perfectly within the galactic habitable zone. We are nestled in the quiet, safe and nurturing cosmic suburbs. Our sun orbits the galactic centre at a remarkably calm, stable pace, keeping us far away from the dangerous radiation of spiral arm density waves and the explosive shock waves of ancient supernovas. We are tucked away in a peaceful, quiet pocket of the spiral, granted billions of years of undisturbed silent calm to slowly grow, evolve, and eventually look up at the stars. It is deeply relaxing to know that out of all the chaotic, swirling neighbourhoods in the galaxy, we found ourselves in the most tranquil, sheltered and protective harbour imaginable. Looking out from the safety of this quiet, cosmic harbour, we can understand the grandest, most overarching trajectory of the universe itself, which is ultimately moving toward a state of profound and absolute relaxation. Since the explosive, blinding energy of the Big Bang, the universe has been stretching, expanding and slowly releasing its heat. Cosmologists call this long-term destiny the Big Chill, or the heat death of the universe. While the names may sound imposing, the physics behind them describe the most beautiful, ultimate settling down. According to the laws of entropy, all the furious energy, the blazing suns, the swirling galaxies, and the chaotic nebulas are slowly, patiently winding down, distributing their heat evenly across the expanding void. Trillions upon trillions of years from now, the universe will reach a state of perfect thermal equilibrium. It is a gentle, cosmic exhalation. The universe is not heading toward a violent, explosive end. It is simply preparing for a deep, eternal, and perfectly quiet slumber. It is the ultimate release of tension, a grand, sweeping permission for all things to finally stop moving, to lay down their heavy energy, and to rest completely. As you drift on the currents of your own sleep, you are beautifully mirroring this grand cosmic trajectory, moving away from the bright, chaotic energy of the waking day and settling softly, deeply, and perfectly into the ultimate equilibrium of the night. As we settle softly into this ultimate cosmic equilibrium, we can realize that the vast majority of the universe is already resting in a state of absolute invisible peace. When we look up at the glittering night sky, we are captivated by the brilliant light of burning stars and glowing nebulas, but we are only seeing a tiny, luminous fraction of what is actually there. Roughly 85% of all the matter in the cosmos is completely invisible to us, existing as a profound, silent presence known as dark matter. It does not reflect light, it does not absorb light, and it does not emit any energy that our telescopes can see. It interacts with the waking world only through the gentle, persistent pull of its gravity. Yet, without this unseen heavy scaffolding, the fast-spinning galaxies would simply fly apart, scattering their stars into the empty void. Dark matter acts as the calm, invisible anchor of existence. It is the ultimate silent partner, holding the magnificent architecture of the universe together without ever demanding to be seen or acknowledged. There is a deep, comforting release in this knowledge. You do not always need to be visible, loud, or recognized to hold immense value and strength. You can simply exist quietly in the dark, providing a grounding, stabilizing force just by being exactly who you are. This invisible, heavy scaffolding was laid down in the very first moments of time, born from the softest, most microscopic whispers of change. If we look at the oldest light in existence, the cosmic microwave background radiation, we see what appears to be a uniform, glowing blanket of ancient warmth. However, delicate, incredibly precise measurements reveal microscopic variations in this temperature, differences of merely 100,000th of a single degree. In the universe's infancy, these incredibly tiny, quiet, cool spots allowed gravity to gently gather the first wisps of hydrogen gas. Over billions of years, those infinitesimal drops in temperature blossomed into the sprawling, magnificent superclusters of galaxies we see today. The grandest, most overwhelming structures in the entire universe grew from the smallest, quietest fluctuations of ancient warmth. It is a beautiful demonstration that massive, beautiful transformations do not require forceful, immediate action. The tiniest, softest shifts in your own mind, the smallest moments of releasing tension, carry the seeds of profound, lasting peace that will naturally unfold and expand over time. This gentle translation of energy from chaos into perfect, smooth geometry is a recurring theme whenever we leave the familiar heavy gravity of Earth. If you were to light a simple candle in the waking world, the hot air would quickly rise, pulling the flame upward into a flickering teardrop shape, constantly dancing and fighting against the pull of gravity and the rushing currents of the room. But in the quiet, weightless environment of the International Space Station, fire behaves with a completely different, mesmerizing grace. Without gravity to pull the heavier, colder air down and push the hot air up, a flame in microgravity does not flicker and it does not rise. Instead, it expands outward at a perfectly even pace, forming a flawless, completely still, floating blue sphere. Fed only by the slow, gentle diffusion of oxygen, the spherical flame burns quietly and steadily in the dark, a tiny glowing pearl of pure energy. The chaotic, dancing nature of fire is hushed by weightlessness into a state of supreme, geometric calm. The breathing deepens, the chest rises and falls in its own smooth, rhythmic geometry, requiring no effort as your body feels just as weightless, leaving the chaotic flicker of the day far behind. We can see the monumental results of this perfect spherical geometry etched permanently into the silver dusty face of our nearest celestial neighbour. When we look at the surface of the moon through a telescope, we are greeted by thousands of impact craters, scars left by wandering asteroids and meteorites over billions of years. A curious observer might notice something strangely uniform about these ancient marks. Virtually every single crater is a perfect symmetrical circle. Given that space debris strikes the moon from every conceivable angle, arriving on slanted, oblique trajectories, one might expect to see long, stretched-out oval gouges in the lunar soil. But the impact of a meteorite happens with such staggering sudden speed that it acts exactly like a powerful underground release of energy. The explosion pushes outward with equal force in every single direction, much like a smooth pebble dropped into a perfectly still pond. The result is a flawless circular ripple frozen permanently in stone. The universe takes violent, unpredictable and angled collisions and instantly resolves them into shapes of absolute unbothered symmetry, leaving behind a landscape of perfect silver rings resting silently in the vacuum. Beyond the silver, cratered face of the moon, further out in the dimming, quiet light of the distant sun, other shapes are drawn not in bright silver, but in the deepest, softest black. We often envision planetary rings as the bright, reflective, icy halos that surround Saturn, catching the sunlight and blazing in the dark. However, the tilted, freezing world of Uranus possesses its own extensive ring system that operates on a completely different visual frequency. The rings of Uranus are made of an incredibly dark, mysterious material, heavily processed by radiation until it resembles soft, porous charcoal or dark soot. They are among the darkest macroscopic materials in the entire solar system, reflecting almost no light whatsoever. They hang there in the void, pitch black against the pitch blackness of space, practically invisible to the untrained eye. It is an ethereal, hidden architecture, Not everything beautiful in the cosmos is designed to shine or draw the eye. Some of the most massive, intricate structures simply orbit quietly in the shadows, perfectly content to remain unseen, offering a deep, resonant comfort to those who seek peace in the unlit corners of the world. Moving outward from the dark, quiet rings of Uranus to the deep, sapphire-blue atmosphere of its twin, Neptune, we witness a profound lesson in how the cosmos naturally handles periods of intense, overwhelming turbulence. When the Voyager 2 spacecraft flew past Neptune in the late 20th century, it captured breathtaking images of the Great Dark Spot, a colossal, raging, anticyclonic storm roughly the exact size of the entire planet Earth. It was a terrifying, beautiful tempest tearing through the methane-rich clouds at supersonic speeds. Yet, when the Hubble Space Telescope turned its powerful lenses toward Neptune just a few years later to observe this monumental storm, it was completely gone. The massive swirling eye had not shifted or migrated. It had simply, quietly dissipated into the surrounding blue atmosphere, leaving no trace behind. It is a stunning cosmic reminder that even the most massive, intimidating storms, the ones that seem large enough to swallow entire worlds, do not last forever. They eventually run out of energy, lose their shape, and fade back into the calm, rolling currents of the atmosphere. Your mind can simply let go of whatever turbulence it has carried today, allowing the heavy winds to dissipate completely, knowing that clarity and calm always naturally return. As those temporary sweeping storms fade into the blue, they leave the grand stage of the galaxy to the true quiet survivors of the cosmos. Drifting relatively close to our own solar system, just under 200 light-years away, is a faint, unassuming subgiant star known to astronomers as HD 140283, affectionately called the Methuselah star. This quiet, glowing sphere is a relic from the very dawn of time. By measuring its temperature, its brightness, and its almost complete lack of heavy metals, astrophysicists have determined that this star is roughly 13.7 billion years old. It formed in the absolute infancy of the universe, coalescing from the pristine, ancient hydrogen left over from the Big Bang, long before the Milky Way had even assembled its sweeping spiral arms. It has watched entire generations of massive, bright stars burn out and explode, surviving the chaotic, crowded youth of the galaxy to become a peaceful, fast-moving wanderer in our modern night sky. It represents the ultimate form of cosmic resilience. It requires no bright flashes or explosive energy to endure. It simply continues its slow, steady burn, a quiet, ancient witness passing safely through the ages, offering a profound sense of historical safety to the resting mind. This ancient, enduring patience is not just found in the solitary journeys of single stars, but is beautifully echoed in the perfect, harmonious relationships between neighbouring worlds. If we return to the massive striped sphere of Jupiter, we can observe its largest icy moons engaged in a sweeping mathematical dance known as an orbital resonance. The three inner moons, Io, Europa and Ganymede, orbit their giant parent planet in a state of absolute, unbreakable synchronization. For every single time the massive frozen moon Ganymede completes one slow, wide orbit around Jupiter, the ocean world of Europa completes exactly 2 orbits, and the volcanic moon Io completes exactly 4. It is a flawless 1:2:4 ratio, a ticking celestial clockwork that has maintained its perfect rhythm for millions of years. Every time they align, their gravity gently tugs on one another, pulling them back into their perfectly spaced, harmonious tracks. It is the literal music of the spheres, a silent gravitational chord struck in the dark vacuum of space. Nothing here is random. Everything is held in a sweeping, supportive embrace of predictable, reliable motion, inviting your own pulse to slow down and match the deep, resonant ticking of the solar system. This perfect mathematical dance helps keep the hidden oceans of those moons warm, but much further out, in the deep, silent freeze of the cosmic wilderness, other ancient bodies are quietly preserving the very essence of life itself. We often imagine comets as simple, dirty snowballs, chunks of barren ice and dust left over from the creation of the planets. Yet, when spacecraft have carefully flown through the glowing, dusty tails of these ancient wanderers, they have captured microscopic samples that reveal a breathtaking, delicate secret. Frozen within the ice of these comets are complex organic compounds, including glycine, an amino acid that serves as one of the fundamental, vital building blocks of biological life. These tiny sleeping seeds of biology have been preserved perfectly in the deep freeze of the Oort cloud for over 4.5 billion years, waiting patiently in the dark. It suggests that the raw ingredients for life are not isolated to our warm blue planet, but are drifting everywhere through the cold, silent void. The universe is heavily seeded with quiet potential, cradling the chemistry of life in a frozen slumber, reminding us that periods of deep, inactive rest are often the perfect preservation of future vitality. The long elliptical journey of these icy messengers eventually brings them close to the blazing warmth of our sun, passing by the innermost planet, Mercury, a world that experiences the slowest, most patient and surreal morning in the entire solar system. Because Mercury rotates incredibly slowly on its axis, while simultaneously racing very quickly around the Sun, its days and years are beautifully, strangely intertwined in a 3:2 resonance. If you were to stand on the rocky, sun-baked surface of Mercury, a single, full day, from one sunrise to the exact next sunrise, would take 176 Earth days to complete. Even more wonderfully, because of the planet's elliptical orbit, the Sun's path across the sky is not a simple, steady arc. At certain times of the year, the Sun will rise above the horizon, slowly stop in the sky, briefly reverse its course and dip back below the horizon, only to rise again a second time and continue its long, slow journey across the black, airless sky. It is a double sunrise, a morning stretched out over months, a world that absolutely refuses to rush the start of its day. The mind is gently invited to let go of any earthly urgency. There is no need to hurry. As you drift through this unending twilight, the boundaries of time continue to soften, inviting you deeper into the quiet, unhurried rhythm of the cosmic night. While we wait for those hidden cosmic curtains to part, we can feel that our own journey through this quiet night is not a simple flat circle, but a slow, undulating wave that carries us gently through the starry depths. As our solar system orbits the supermassive centre of the Milky Way, it does not move in a strict level line. Instead, it bobs slowly up and down through the dense, glowing plane of the galaxy, much like a beautifully carved wooden horse rising and falling on a grand, majestic carousel. It takes roughly 30 million years just to complete one single, graceful dip and rise. We are currently drifting slightly above the galactic equator, riding the crest of an impossibly long, patient wave. This gentle, sweeping motion exposes us to different environments of intergalactic dust and starlight, acting as a rhythmic, deep time breathing of our entire solar neighbourhood. It is deeply comforting to imagine our world not just spinning in place, but gracefully riding a cosmic ocean swell. The mind can simply surrender to this massive, unhurried rhythm, feeling the slow, heavy rise and the gentle, settling fall of the galaxy's own tide, carrying you safely through the dark. This slow, sweeping tide of the galaxy is illuminated by the enduring light of our sun, but the journey of that light is a masterpiece of quiet, hidden persistence. When a photon, a single weightless particle of light, is forged in the unimaginable pressure of the solar core, it does not immediately shoot out into the vastness of space. The interior of the Sun is so incredibly dense, packed with swirling plasma and charged atoms, that the photon can only travel a fraction of an inch before it softly bumps into another particle, absorbing and re-emitting in a random direction. This beautiful, meandering journey is known as the random walk. Because of this endless microscopic pinball game, it can take a single particle of light up to 100,000 years just to travel from the centre of the sun to its glowing surface. The sunlight that warms your face on a quiet afternoon, or the gentle rays that nourish the forests of Earth, were actually born millennia ago. Long before human history began, it is a profound lesson in ultimate patience. Even the fastest, most vibrant energy in the universe must sometimes take a slow, winding and completely unhurried path before it can finally break free and shine. When these ancient, patient stars eventually reach the quiet twilight of their lives, they do not simply fade into the black. They often leave behind breathtaking sculptures of glowing dust that rival the most delicate earthly forms. Roughly 4,000 light-years away, in the constellation of Scorpius, a dying star has gently exhaled its outer layers to form the magnificent Butterfly Nebula. Instead of a chaotic spherical cloud, the gas expands outward in two perfectly symmetrical sprawling lobes that look exactly like the delicate translucent wings of a cosmic butterfly. Woven with intricate folds of glowing violet, deep crimson, and pale blue, these massive wings span over 3 light-years across. The central star, hidden deep within a thick, dusty cocoon, acts as the silent body of the creature, casting a soft, illuminating glow across the sprawling wings. It is a stunning visual poetry, a reminder that the universe transforms the heavy final moments of a star's life into a symbol of weightless flight and delicate beauty. Your own thoughts can become just as weightless, shedding the heavy burdens of the day and transforming into something soft, beautiful, and completely free to drift into the starlit void. As you drift, your physical body grows heavier, the muscles softening and releasing their grip, sinking deeply into the perfect support of the bed. You're held safely here, deeply connected to the quiet space around you. In the deep vacuum of space, connection happens with an absolute effortless immediacy that completely defies our earthly experience. On our planet, joining two pieces of metal requires immense heat, melting, and the careful application of force. But in the freezing, airless environment of the cosmos, a phenomenon known as cold welding occurs. If two pieces of the exact same pure metal softly touch one another in the vacuum, they will instantly and permanently fuse together, becoming a single solid piece. Because there is no layer of oxygen or atmospheric moisture to keep their atoms apart, the metals simply do not know they are separate objects. They recognize their shared nature and quietly, seamlessly bond into one. It is a beautiful metaphor for deep, effortless unity. In the quietest, most undisturbed spaces, you do not need to force connections or struggle to find harmony. When the interference of the waking world is stripped away, profound peace and unity simply happen naturally, instantly, and without any resistance. This effortless merging in the freezing dark leads us to worlds where the very concept of fire and eruption has been entirely redefined by the cold. On Earth, we know volcanoes as towering mountains of jagged rock that violently expel searing, molten lava. But in the dim, quiet reaches of the outer solar system, on moons like Saturn's Titan and the dwarf planet Ceres, the universe has created cryovolcanoes. These are majestic, sweeping mountains made entirely of solid ice. When they erupt, they do not spit fire. They gently release slow, thick, rolling streams of freezing water, ammonia, and soft methane slush. It is a volcanic eruption of pure, cleansing cold. This glacial magma flows smoothly over the cratered landscapes, filling in the deep scars and jagged valleys, leaving behind a surface that is wonderfully smooth, polished, and refreshed. It is a geology of soothing, cooling renewal. Imagine the deep, quiet relief of that slow, icy tide, washing away the rough, jagged edges of the terrain, offering a profound sense of cooling calm. It gently suggests that not all power is fiery or destructive. Sometimes, the most transformative forces in the cosmos are incredibly cool, slow and peacefully renewing. Following those smooth, icy plains to the very edge of our solar system, we encounter a profound and mysterious boundary where the crowded debris of the cosmos suddenly gives way to a vast open clearing. Billions of miles from the Sun, the Kuiper Belt is a sprawling ring of ancient frozen rocks and dwarf planets slowly circling in the dark. But at a specific measurable distance, about 50 astronomical units from the Sun, this crowded belt abruptly and inexplicably ends. Astronomers call this invisible boundary the Kuiper Cliff. Beyond this unseen line, the density of icy bodies drops to almost nothing, creating a sudden, sprawling emptiness. It is exactly like wandering through a dense, tangled forest and suddenly stepping out into a vast, perfectly quiet and entirely empty meadow. We do not fully understand what sweeps this area clean. Perhaps the unseen gravity of a hidden distant planet, or simply the natural quiet architecture of our cosmic neighbourhood. But there is a deep, resonant peace in this sudden emptiness. It is a celestial clearing, a massive unbothered space where the mind can stretch out, unhindered by clutter, and simply rest in the profound, open quiet of the deep void. While this vast meadow of space appears completely silent to the human ear, it is actually filled with a continuous, soothing whisper of energy that washes over everything in the cosmos. When astronomers tune their massive, bowl-shaped radio telescopes to listen to the empty spaces between the stars, they do not hear absolute silence. Instead, they detect a faint, omnipresent hiss, a continuous cosmic white noise known as the space roar. This background hum is a soft, static frequency of radio waves that is 6 times louder than anyone initially expected, and its exact origin remains a beautiful, unsolved mystery. It is not the sound of a single star or a specific galaxy, but the combined, echoing chorus of the entire universe softly broadcasting in the dark. Like the gentle, continuous rush of a distant waterfall, or the low, steady hiss of a gentle rain falling on a vast ocean. This cosmic roar is a perfect ambient lullaby. The mind does not need to decipher it or understand its source. You can simply let this ancient static hum wash over you, a continuous soothing blanket of sound that drowns out the sharp, jagged noises of the day, leaving only a soft, universal rhythm. This soft, ambient blanket of the cosmos eventually wraps around our neighbouring worlds, creating mornings of unparalleled quiet majesty. On the rusted red surface of Mars lies Valles Marineris, a canyon system of such staggering proportions that it makes the Earth's Grand Canyon look like a mere scratch in the dirt. It stretches for over 2,500 miles, roughly the entire width of the United States, and plunges up to 4 miles deep into the Martian crust. But the true magic of this colossal trench reveals itself in the quiet, freezing hours of the early Martian morning. As the distant small sun slowly rises, the dramatic drop in temperature within the deep valleys causes the thin, atmospheric water vapour to condense. A thick, pristine white fog of water ice slowly fills the bottom of the massive canyon, winding through the towering red cliffs like a silent glowing river. It is a scene of immense, breathtaking stillness, a canyon of unimaginable scale, softened and quieted by a delicate ethereal mist. There is no rushing wind here, no turbulent water, only the slow, patient clearing of the morning fog on a quiet, sleeping world, inviting your own mind to clear, settle, and find peace in the quiet hollows of rest. As the morning fog settles quietly within the deep canyons of a single world, we can zoom out to behold the ultimate overarching shape of the entire universe itself. We intuitively imagine the cosmos as a giant curving sphere, or perhaps a complex warped saddle of space-time bending under the weight of countless galaxies. Yet the most precise measurements of the ancient light stretching across the void reveal a deeply calming, surprisingly simple truth. On the grandest, most ultimate scale, the universe is perfectly flat. It does not curve back in on itself, nor does it distort into chaotic geometry. Two beams of light travelling perfectly parallel to one another will remain parallel forever, stretching into infinity without ever crossing or drifting apart. It is an endless, smooth, and completely uncurved plane of existence. There are no sudden drops, no hidden corners, and no claustrophobic boundaries closing in. The cosmos is an open, infinitely spacious, and perfectly level playing field. It grants the mind an incredible sense of relief. You're not trapped in a complex tangled web. You're resting within a grand, simple, and beautifully open expanse where you can stretch out endlessly into the peaceful, level dark. The breath settles into a long, slow rhythm, matching the vast, level plains of this infinite space. The deepest mysteries of this grand universe are not always hidden in the unreachable distances. Sometimes they have visited us right inside the quiet comfort of our own homes. Before the era of digital television, when you turned on an old cathode ray tube TV and tuned it to a channel with no broadcast, the screen would fill with a dancing black and white hiss of static snow. While much of that static was caused by local radio interference, roughly 1% of those flickering snowy dots were something unimaginably profound. They were the physical impact of the cosmic microwave background radiation, the oldest light in the universe, the fading ancient afterglow of the Big Bang itself. That gentle, chaotic hiss echoing in a quiet living room late at night was the actual physical whisper of the universe's creation, arriving seamlessly after a journey of nearly 14 billion years, simply to dance briefly on a glass screen. It is a beautiful, deeply comforting realization. The cosmos is not distant or detached. Its oldest, most profound history has quietly surrounded us all along, a gentle, static lullaby woven into the very fabric of our modern lives, whispering ancient secrets of peace as you continue to drift beautifully into the quiet depths of the night. As the ancient static of those early television screens fades into a soft, internal memory, we arrive at the final wonder of our journey, a secret that brings the entire sprawling architecture of the universe back to the quiet center of your own being. If we were to calculate the absolute sum of all the energy and matter in the cosmos, the blazing fury of billions of suns, the massive churning weight of dark matter, the rushing momentum of expanding galaxies, and the intense gravity of black holes, we encounter a mathematical result that is as profound as it is peaceful. According to the best models of modern physics, the total energy of the universe is exactly zero. This is the zero-energy universe hypothesis, a beautiful balance where the positive energy of matter is perfectly and precisely cancelled out by the negative energy of gravity. It means that the entire magnificent display of the cosmos, every shimmering nebula we have visited, every diamond rain world, every glowing pulsar and every grain of stardust is effectively a magnificent, stable manifestation of nothingness. The universe is a free lunch, a grand, elaborate ripple on a surface of perfect underlying stillness. It reveals that the ultimate nature of everything we see and touch is not one of struggle, tension, or noise, but of a profound and fundamental equilibrium. Everything is already in balance. Everything is already accounted for. You do not need to add anything to this night, and you do not need to carry any weight from the day. You are part of a grand cosmic equation that has already resolved itself into a state of perfect, weightless peace. This final secret is the ultimate permission to let go. You are resting within a universe that is, at its heart, a magnificent and total stillness. Our long journey through these 101 wonders of the stars is now complete. The path we have travelled, from the frozen, silent geysers of Enceladus to the golden, sweeping rivers of the Laniakea supercluster, has brought us back to this single, quiet moment of rest. You can feel the heavy, comforting weight of the journey settling into your limbs as if the very gravity of the galaxies is gently tucking you in. There is no longer any need to visualize the glowing nebulas or the spinning planets. The images can soften and blur, fading into a gentle, featureless wash of warm cosmic beige. You do not need to remember the numbers, the names of the stars, or the chemical scents of the void. All of that information has served its purpose, acting as a slow, rhythmic bridge to carry you away from the frantic world and into this sanctuary of silence. The details are dissolving now, melting away like soft methane snow on a distant peak. What remains is only the feeling of being supported, the sensation of your own slow, rhythmic breathing, and the profound, dark peace of the night. The space around you feels vast yet incredibly safe and warm. Your mind is like a quiet, level plain, stretching out into a calm infinity where no thoughts need to take root. The body is heavy, so very heavy, sinking effortlessly into the softness beneath you. Every muscle in your face, your shoulders and your hands has finally found its own state of zero energy, releasing all tension into the dark. You're floating in a gentle, airless clearing, a place of ultimate preservation and stillness. The stars are distant now, their light merely a soft, flickering lullaby that requires no attention. The silence of the vacuum is your blanket. The slow expansion of the universe is your breath. There is nothing left to do. There is nowhere left to go. The journey has arrived exactly where it was meant to. Here, in this perfect, unbothered equilibrium. You are a part of the cosmos, and the cosmos is at rest. Let the darkness be absolute and kind. Let the silence be your guide. You are held, you are safe, you are home. And now, 101 wonders are resting with you. Sleep now. Good night.